Chapter 1248. After Yang Chun announced the cultivation secret of the 5th grade alchemist master, basically for a period of time, Chunyang Palace was relatively calm. Even when Yang Chun accepted 7 concubines at a time, there was no fanfare publicity. It was just the presence of several sect masters. It looked shabby, but the level and scale were not low at all. Similarly, there was nothing special about Yang Chun here. In addition to practicing alchemy, he was enjoying the life of a newlywed with his new concubines. The days were very peaceful. Fairy Junkie, Fairy Ching Mu, and Murong Fifth Fairy have slowly begun to get used to the life of a husband around them, and they also began to understand each other and get along well with each other. Of course, they were more accustomed to the extravagance of Yang Chen's seemingly dilapidated small courtyard that would make countless people stunned. The shock brought to everyone by Yang Chun was not completely over. Gao Yu gave the women another solid surprise. Everyone had a life source flying sword. Gao Yu just asked them to show their flying sword in a casual chat. Then, according to each person's characteristics, she commented on their life source flying sword. Although Gao Yu was only in the middle stage of the Yuanying stage and was close to the late stage, in terms of refining, after the tempering of the dragon horn flying sword, she already had a master-level vision. A few casual comments could always surprise everyone who was commented on. If it was just a verbal comment, it would be fine. Whenever they found the flaws of their life source flying sword, Gao Yu would always ask them to take the flying sword and then use a set of tools they had never heard of to repair it. Due to the status of Gao Yu's wife, although the women were not very happy, they still did not refuse, and some of them gave their life source magic weapons to Gao Yu. After being modified by Gao Yu like this, it would take at least a few decades to dispel the aura that Gao Yu left behind, and then it would have to be tempered again. However, when they received the life source flying sword that had been modified by Gao Yu, the women were surprised to find that it had been clearly modified by Gao Yu, but the life source flying sword did not have any aura of Gao Yu. It was completely their own magic weapon, and it was not contaminated by any external aura. They were already masters of the Deshang stage, and all of them came from famous families. Which of the 7 girls didn't understand what this meant? Suddenly, he had a whole new level of respect for Gao Yu, who he had always thought was only Yang Chen's master. No one in the mortal world could do what Gao Yu just did. Those who had tempered their natal magic treasures were aware of the hard work they had to put in. Even if their natal magic treasure had a slight flaw, it would not be easy to fix it. They themselves were masters of refining. If they were replaced by ordinary cultivators, if they did not lay a good foundation for the magic weapon in the beginning, they could only use a defective natal magic treasure for a lifetime. Gao Yu's move almost subverted everyone's cognition. Even the tempered natal magic treasure could be so easily changed, but it would not bring any impact to the owner. As long as the news spread out, the sensation would be no less than the glory of Yang Chun, the 5th grade alchemist master. Everyone thought that Gao Yu was just lucky, a blind cat bumping into a dead mouse, and she accepted Yang Chun as her apprentice. It was said that Yang Chun still found Gao Yu to be his master. It seemed that he had an idea about his master a long time ago. Everyone only thought that Gao Yu was just a foil. Now the women discovered that Gao Yu was already a master who was no less than Yang Chun. They had heard of the reputation of Gao Yu's refining master before, but after all, it was a rumor. Gao Yu did not have many works that could be remembered. Only now did the women understand that their husband's official wife was not such a simple person. Gong Sunling only met everyone once, and then she retreated alone, not knowing what she was cultivating. However, everyone's eyesight was good. Gong Sunling's cultivation base seemed to have entered the late Yuanying stage. Calculating from her cultivation time, such a cultivation speed was enough to make countless geniuses feel ashamed. Not to mention the Cold Plum Fairy and Dancing Snow Fairy. They had long been famous for their geniuses. Only now did the 7 concubines realize that the people by their husband's side were not easy to deal with. After realizing this, the 7 girls' attitude towards Gao Yu became more respectful. Gao Yu was as kind as ever, and did not bully the women by virtue of her status as a wife. The only requirement that was like an order was that they should serve their husband well. When it came to this, the 7 girls couldn't help blushing. Yang Chun seemed to have a taste of it, almost every time he slept with the 7 girls. The 7 girls were also sent to the peak by Yang Chun more than a dozen times each time. Every time, they would always show the side that they were most unwilling to be misunderstood in front of Yang Chun. After that, they were always ashamed and angry, but they were also looking forward to it. In addition, Yang Chun's daily life seemed very leisurely, always holding a piece of jade slip that he didn't know where to study carefully. After Yang Chun revealed the secret of the cultivation of the 5th grade alchemist master, the women also understood that Yang Chun had never stopped exploring various medicinal properties and had never stopped practicing the art of fire control. In the same way, he had never stopped cultivating, but everyone could not see it. It must be said that the qualifications of the 7 girls were absolutely top-notch. Each of them was a genius with a full value or close to the full value of a single attribute of the innate 5 elements. Yang Chun soon discovered that after having a good time with them, the purity of his spiritual power would unconsciously improve. At this point, the women also felt the same, and they were all happy in their hearts. This was another reason why they would look forward to having a good time with Yang Chun. This time, Yang Chun revealed the cultivation method of the 5th grade alchemist master and received more than 20 rewards from the sect. In addition to the addition of a few kinds of 7th grade fire seeds, the others were compensated with various other medicinal materials and magic weapons of the same value. Yang Chun was very generous. Apart from the fire seeds and medicinal materials, the things were directly divided into 2 halves. One half was divided into 4 and equally distributed to his 4 wives. The other half was divided into 7 parts, which were naturally distributed to his 7 new concubines. Suddenly getting such a batch of wealth that was enough to support a second-rate sect. Even Fairy Junkie, whose cultivation base was as high as the late Deshang stage, could not help but be shocked by Yang Chun's generosity again. Yang Chun's move this time directly led to the improvement of the state of mind of the 7 girls. At least in the face of material temptation, they would not be easily tempted. Such surprises came one after another, so that the 7 girls could not believe it. The distance between Fang Xinxin and her husband had been much closer. Chapter 1249. The days of peaceful cultivation in the sect, living a peaceful home life, finally ended after the arrival of a rogue cultivator. This rogue cultivator was entrusted by someone to send something to Yang Chun. The thing was very simple. It was a tightly wrapped box. At the same time, there was a sentence with the box. The 9th water flying sword can be refined. As soon as he received this news, Yang Chun knew that this was the news sent by his sworn brother Li Cheng. The refining of the 9th water flying sword, apart from Yang Chun and his 4 wives, only Li Cheng knew. Moreover, Yang Chun asked Li Cheng to find a way. Now Li Cheng sent someone to send the news that it could be refined. Obviously, he had found the refining method. A second-grade inner-sensing pill made the Jidan stage rogue cultivator who sent the news so happy that he couldn't find the north. Just running a trip, there was such a good thing. He hated that he couldn't do anything every day, just run errands for Yang Chun. The box was sealed with a very mysterious restriction, and ordinary people didn't know how to open it. However, for Yang Chun, this was not a difficult thing. This restriction, the way to break it was very simple. As long as the spiritual awareness cultivation base reached the 5th grade of the human immortal realm. As soon as his spiritual awareness was stimulated, the box opened smoothly, revealing the contents inside. A compass, which didn't look delicate, seemed to be made with a few things in a hurry. There was no sign on it, only a flexible pointer. As long as it was stimulated with spiritual power, the pointer would immediately point in one direction. Needless to say, this was used by Li Cheng to point out the direction to Yang Chun. Li Cheng's meaning was also very clear to Yang Chun. That is, he wanted him to follow the direction pointed by the compass and go to the rendezvous. Presumably, the method to refine the 9th water flying sword was not so simple. It needed to be discussed face to face. Yang Chun had no doubt that Li Cheng would lie to him. There was no need for that. Although Yang Chun never knew the true identity of Li Cheng, he never doubted that Li Cheng could make his soul fly away with a raise of his hand. This was purely a feeling, but Yang Chun was exceptionally convinced. It was not a coincidence that the Grand Elder of the Taishaman was beheaded by Li Cheng with one sword. With this piece of good news, Yang Chun no longer needed to stay in the sect. This time, both Gao Yu and Gong Sunling stayed in the sect. Before leaving, Gao Yu told the 7 girls to follow Yang Chun all the way and serve him well. This was not the first time Yang Chun had gone out with the 7 girls, but it was the first time they had gone out with Yang Chun since they married Yang Chun. Even Yang Chun didn't know where he was going, which made the 7 to Shang stage concubines puzzled. At their level, a journey without a destination seemed a little reckless. However, since Yang Chun insisted, no one objected. At worst, they would just go out to gain experience and follow their own husband. It was not an unbearable thing. During the journey, Yang Chun discovered that his 7 to Shang stage concubines also had a very elegant hobby, and their level was very surprising. Fairy Junkie liked calligraphy on weekdays. When she encountered something annoying, she would write constantly to achieve the purpose of calming down. She had been immersed in calligraphy for nearly 1,000 years, and she had good attainments in all kinds of calligraphy styles. Those masters in the mortal world, in front of Fairy Junkie's calligraphy, were nothing more than a group of children's graffiti. Fairy Ching Mu liked Go. In her leisure time, she always closed her eyes and played blind chess. She also had a deep understanding of the way of choosing between vertical and horizontal. It was no wonder that Fairy Ching Mu in his previous life was so good at doing things. It was inseparable from his hobby. The Murong 5 sisters were very surprising to Yang Chun. What the 5 sisters liked most was to work together to paint. What was amazing was that each of them would only use their own attribute spiritual power to mix in the brush and paint the scenery with their own 5 elements. Every time the 5 women collaborated on a painting, it could make people feel the mutual promotion and restraint of the 5 elements in it. The whole painting was indescribably smart and harmonious, which made people want to slap the table and praise it. Usually, they cooperated like this. It was no wonder that in cultivation and fighting, the 5 of them could be like one. From this point of view, it had to be said that everything was not without a reason. I just know a little bit. When the women asked Yang Chun always answered modestly. However, when he began to communicate with them separately, the women found that every word Yang Chun said seemed to speak to the deepest part of their hearts, which made them feel happy from the bottom of their hearts. In Yang Chun's previous life, it was hopeless to cultivate in the heavenly court, so he had dabbled in various aspects. Being tortured, what made Yang Chun persevere, in addition to the thoughts of revenge for his master, had to focus his mind on some external things. Although he only dabbled to a limited extent, compared with those guys in the heavenly court, he was not specialized at all. But at this level in the mortal world, Yang Chun was still able to talk with the women about their respective hobbies, and could even have in-depth exchanges in their respective fields, and then point out some of their current shortcomings. The 7 girls did not expect that their husband would be such an elegant person who was proficient in zither, chess, calligraphy, and painting. They were pleasantly surprised and rejoiced in their choice. In the end, even if they ascended, they were still women. Who didn't like to lie in the arms of their beloved husband and exchange their favorite hobbies with him? This was the feeling of suddenly meeting a bosom friend after being alone for hundreds or thousands of years. Everyone seemed to have experienced the time when they were alone with Yang Chun many times in their dreams. It was so familiar, so harmonious, and they wished they could occupy their husband like this and be in harmony with each other forever. Even when everyone was together, Yang Chun was always able to gather everyone's hobbies together, from calligraphy to painting skills, and then to chess skills. Occasionally, he would say some of his views, which always made the women thoughtful and happy. Yang Chun was like a mysterious treasure house. One more layer of contact, one more layer of discovery, but they could never see the end, making every fairy have a feeling of regret for not having met him earlier. At this time, the women seemed to have forgotten the sex instructions and devoted themselves to the arms of their husband. It was only a few years, but it seemed like they had lived together for hundreds of years. Occasionally, the women would think of the sect's instructions, but they couldn't help but worry. Once Yang Chun and the sect had discord, what should they do? Unknowingly, Yang Chun had left the Tao sect's territory with the 7 girls, once again rushed into the boundless sea, and flew to the other side of the sea. Chapter 1250. It was not the first time for Yang Chun to cross the vast sea. However, this time it was different. There were 7 Deshang stage masters, 1 in the late Deshang stage, and 6 in the early Deshang stage, and all of them were from the big sect. In this regard, Yang Chen's previous trips with his 4 wives were completely incomparable. In the past, Yang Chen's trips would definitely cause a lot of people to covet him, and even some people would ambush him. After all, Yang Chun and his 4 wives, the strongest one was only in the late Yuanying stage, and people who surpassed this realm were everywhere. Not everyone knew that the combat power of Shi Shanshan alone was enough to fight with elder men in the late Deshang stage. Now with these 7 concubines accompanying him, no one dared to hit Yang Chun again. At least within the domain of the Tao sects, no one dared to provoke them easily. No one had the assurance to subdue 7 Deshang stage masters at the same time, especially when their husband Yang Chun still had many hundred years pills in his hands. No one would hate to die quickly. The powerful sea beasts encountered along the way became a pastime for the women to travel in boredom. Of course, in fact, it was not so boring to sit in the shuttle with Yang Chun. Among the great yin-yang 5 elements flying sword, Yang Chun still lacked the 9th water flying sword and the 8th metal flying sword. The 9th water flying sword already had the materials, and Li Chung may also have the refining method. He believed that he would be able to start refining soon. However, the 8th metal flying sword has not been found. Even among the huge rewards received this time, there was no 8th metal material suitable for Yang Chun to refine the flying sword. It was a little regretful that he couldn't gather the great yin-yang 5 elements flying sword in a short time, but Yang Chun didn't care. A lot of things depended on fate. He believed that as long as the opportunity came, some things would come to his door. Just like the 8th metal spiritual solution, after meeting elder brother Li Chung, the 2 of them naturally exchanged, and everything was in order. The purity of Yang Chen's spirit power had increased a lot, causing the shuttle's speed to increase a bit. According to the directions of the compass given by Li Chung, Yang Chen took less than 2 years to reach the place where Li Chung had agreed to meet. It was a small island, and there was nothing on it that could move one's heart. It seemed that Li Chung had randomly found a remote island just to communicate with Yang Chun. When Yang Chun arrived with his 7 concubines, there was no trace of anyone on the island. There was not even a single powerful siren in the vicinity. It was an empty island with a stone that looked like a marker on it. The compass was pointing to that stone. "Husband, is this the place that the person who invited you to come to?" Shi Wushuang looked around and couldn't help but frown. "I invited Yang Chun to come over, but no one was waiting. Isn't this sworn brother a bit too arrogant? If the compass is correct, it should be here." Yang Chun looked at the compass and then stared at the stone. The stone was neither big nor small, about the height of a person. It looked like an ordinary rock on an ordinary island. Bang! After observing for a while, Yang Chun directly smashed the stone into pieces. Then, Yang Chun vaguely discovered that a subtle, almost imperceptible spiritual awareness escaped from the stone and disappeared into the distance in a blink of an eye. "Okay, pack up and wait for elder brother to come over." Yang Chun put away the shuttle, but let the women start preparing. The Dragon Palace was carried by Yang Chun and was not left in Chunyang Palace. With such a level of Immortal's cave, Yang Chun would not be at ease to leave it in Chunyang Palace, even if Gao Yu and Gong Sunling were there. He released the Dragon Palace, and it soon became a small seaside house that did not look very eye-catching. The 7 girls worked together, and under the instructions of Yang Chun, they caught a lot of seafood in the surrounding seawater. Although none of the 7 women were as good at cooking as Gong Sunling, seafood was something that sometimes only needed to be simply washed with water to retain the flavor. It was not very complicated. Of course, the liquid for cooking seafood, Yang Chun did not use seawater nor other spirit springs, but directly used the 4 seas mysterious coral liquid. This was the liquid exuded from the 1,000-year-old mysterious coral at the bottom of the sea. It was used to cook seafood, and it tasted more delicious. Coming just after boiling the 4 seas mysterious coral liquid, and the seafood had not yet been put into the pot, Yang Chen stood up and began to wait in a certain direction. Hearing Yang Chen's words, the 7 girls were trying to explore that direction with their spiritual awareness. Within 1,000 miles, they did not find any movement, but Yang Chen actually said that, what was the reason for this? This doubt did not last for a few breaths. Suddenly, the girls noticed a terrifying aura madly oppressing this side. This aura was so strong that even Tao Junkie, with her late Deshang stage cultivation base, still felt the kind of desperate fear. It was not something that anyone present could match at all. Tao Junkie, who had the highest cultivation base, was like this, not to mention Shi Wushuang and the Murong sisters, who had a lower cultivation base. Feeling this powerful aura, they almost sacrificed their life source flying sword to resist. Fortunately, Yang Chen was by her side, releasing a little bit of his spiritual awareness and wrapping the girls up so that they did not have to face the powerful spiritual awareness directly. The 7 girls felt better. However, after discovering that it was her husband who made the move, she couldn't help but have some doubts about Yang Chen's cultivation base. At the edge of everyone's field of vision, a small black dot suddenly appeared. The small black dot grew quickly and got closer and closer. After a few breaths, everyone discovered that it was a very huge eagle. The pressure that made the girls feel pressured and even a little scared just now was emanating from this eagle. Of course, Yang Chen also saw this eagle. The moment he saw it, Yang Chen was stunned. This eagle already had the cultivation base of the human immortal 8th grade. It seemed that it was clearly a kind of beast of the demon continent, but the demon chi of the whole body had disappeared for some reason, leaving only the cultivation base. In a flash, Yang Chen found Li Cheng sitting on the back of the eagle. Suddenly, everything was explained. With Li Cheng's mystery, subduing a human immortal 8th grade eagle was not an unimaginable thing. Even if it was an Earth immortal level beast, Yang Chen estimated that it would not be good in front of Li Cheng. It was a piece of cake to solve the demon chi. Big Brother came at the right time. The seafood is about to be cooked. Before the eagle landed, Yang Chen had already cupped his hands and invited Li Cheng on the back of the eagle with a smile. Little Shui has brewed a lot of good wine, waiting for Big Brother to taste it. Chapter 1251. Of course, the 7 girls also found Li Cheng on the back of the eagle, but in their hearts, they were still frightened by the strength of the eagle. Even with the protection of Yang Chen's divine awareness, this did not prevent them from being able to barely judge the cultivation realm of this eagle. What kind of unbelievable thing was that? A monster that had surpassed the 5th grade of human immortal. How could it appear in the mortal world so boldly? Although with Tao Junkie's status in the greatest heaven sect, she already knew something about the Great Elder, but even the Great Elder was only in the 1st or 2nd grade of the human immortal realm, barely surpassing some of the guys who had just ascended. How could this kind of great monster above the 5th grade of the human immortal realm be possible? With the vision of the 7 girls, they could only judge that the cultivation of the eagle was above the 5th grade of human immortal realm. As for what level it was, they could not judge it with their current knowledge. But even so, the level that had been determined made the 7 girls collectively fall into a sluggish state. They couldn't remember how many times they had encountered this kind of unimaginable thing since they came to Yang Chen's side. In the end, they didn't lose too much face for Yang Chen. After being sluggish for a while, when Li Cheng jumped down from the eagle, the 7 girls came to their senses. Ha! There was a clear sound. In the stunned eyes of the 7 girls, Li Cheng knocked on the huge, hooked beak of the eagle and said in a casual tone, Go around, don't run far." The powerful monster of the 5th grade of human immortal realm was as obedient as Li Cheng's pet. It nodded its huge head sensibly, then flew up into the sky and disappeared in the blink of an eye. The 7 girls couldn't believe that the terrifying master who rode on the back of the eagle and treated this great monster of the 5th grade of human immortal realm like a pet, was just a young man in the middle stage of yuanying stage. The huge contrast of understanding made the 7 girls even forget to come forward and salute, which was very rude. Big brother, these are my new concubines. They haven't seen much of the world. Please don't blame them. Yang Chen's words were like a great bell, rushing into the ears of the 7 girls, awakening them from their state of shock. Only then did the 7 girls realize their impoliteness. They quickly went forward and kowtowed. Sisters-in-law, please get up. Li Cheng raised his hands slightly, and the girls felt a force lifting their bodies up. This was Yang Chen's sworn brother. They didn't dare to resist, and obediently got up with this force. You really have good fortune. The aptitudes of these sisters-in-law are all outstanding. Li Cheng saw through the background of Yang Chen's 7 concubines at a glance and immediately praised them. Then he said to the 7 girls, "It's our first time meeting, so I don't have anything to show you. Take this little toy back and keep it for fun." The 7 girls just got up and listened to Li Cheng's words. Suddenly, there was something in her hand. The 7 girls were shocked. How did this thing get into their hands? They didn't even notice it at all. Looking down, the 7 girls were a little surprised. What Li Cheng gave them turned out to be 7 eggs that looked exactly the same. Each of them had one, and no one was left behind. Each egg was the size of 2 of Yang Chen's fists. The surface exuded a golden light. At the same time, there were mysterious array lines. With the knowledge of the 7 girls, they couldn't distinguish what kind of array it was. Big brother, isn't this greeting gift a bit too much? Yang Chen looked at the things that Li Cheng gave, and his heart was slightly surprised. He hurriedly said politely, "It's not too much. Since it's a new sister-in-law, it's not an outsider. I can't just be perfunctory." Li Cheng's words did not regard Yang Chen as an outsider at all, nor did he regard Yang Chen's concubines as outsiders. Thank Big Brother. Yang Chen was not a pretentious person. After a polite sentence, he immediately told the 7 girls. After the instruction, he immediately explained this should be the egg of the iron-winged eagle that Big Brother has refined. As long as you put in the spiritual awareness imprint, the iron-winged eagle will hatch and become your monster pet. During the conversation, the women had obediently thanked Li Cheng again. After they got up, Yang Chen continued, "Don't underestimate this little eagle egg. This should be the descendant of the iron-winged eagle just now. When it hatches, it will be at the peak of the Deshang stage. Big Brother's move is a big deal. You have to be grateful." After listening to Yang Chen's explanation, the women were shocked. When they met, he gave each of them a monster pet at the peak Deshang stage. Who is this mysterious Big Brother? You don't have to listen to your husband's hypocrisy. It's just a worldly thing. We are cultivators. Why should we care about it? Li Cheng's words sounded immediately after, but it was like a guiding tone. They didn't know why, but these words seemed to go straight into the minds of the 7 girls, and even had a calming effect. The 7 girls were geniuses with excellent qualifications. How could they not understand that Li Cheng was taking the opportunity to guide them? No one hesitated. They sat down cross-legged and began to think with their eyes closed. Just as soon as they sat down, there was a medicinal pill in their mouths. It was Yang Chen who stuffed a 2nd grade, questioning inner heart pill to each of them. In a blink of an eye, the 7 girls entered the state of retreat. Yang Chen waved his hand, and the figure of the 7 girls disappeared from the Dragon Palace. In front of the seaside hut, only Yang Chen and Li Cheng were left. "No one will disturb me, just drinking." Yang Chen directly took out dozens of different jars of wine, and then began to throw the seafood into the boiling 4 seas mysterious coral liquid. After a while, the seafood was placed on the table. Yang Chen and Li Cheng did not use wine glasses. Everyone held a wine jar, and with this delicious seafood, they began to enjoy the wine. Of course, it was inevitable that Li Cheng would ask Yang Chen how he had 7 beautiful concubines after not seeing him for decades. Yang Chen said one by one what he had done in recent years. Even the secret of the 5th grade alchemist master was revealed. In this regard, Li Cheng had no opinion. For him, what Yang Chen didn't seem to be a big deal. After talking about it, it finally came to the point. After Li Cheng had almost drunk the 3rd jar of wine, He began to talk about the refining of the ninth water-flying sword. After going back, I checked the family's classics and even consulted several elders, and finally found a way that was not a way. Li Cheng felt a little tipsy, but his words were still clear. A way that is not a way. Yang Chun asked with some doubts. Yes, it should be able to refine your ninth water-flying sword. After Li Cheng took another big gulp, he explained, however, it's just a little troublesome. Maybe at your realm, it's impossible to do it. If you have to say it's possible, maybe you can think of a way after you ascend. Chapter 1252. A method that could only be done after ascension? Yang Chen was also interested in what Li Cheng said. What advantages did he have after ascension? Could it be that he had to have the spiritual pressure of the spiritual realm or the celestial realm to refine it? I found in the classics passed down by my ancestors that there is an illusory thing that can restrain the black juice. Li Cheng did not keep him in suspense, and then explained, it is the merit of the heavenly court. Maybe you don't understand now, but you will understand in the future. Merit? Yang Chun immediately breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. How could he not know about merit? He didn't dare to say anything else, but if he wanted merit, Yang Chun would never lack it. Just killing the Jade Emperor and the Queen Mother would give him several times more merit. Although it sounds very illusory, if something like merit is used in practice, it is also very difficult to guard against. Li Cheng was still talking on the opposite side. There are some records in the classics left by the ancestors, but it is not realistic to realize it now. As he spoke, Li Cheng handed over a jade slip. Yang Chen reached out and took it. As soon as he probed it with his divine sense, he immediately saw the content inside. Of course, it was just a glance. Yang Chun had to study the specific content slowly in the future, not now. Thank you, big brother. Yang Chun thanked him sincerely. This was the classics passed down by Li Cheng's ancestor. To put it bluntly, the Li Cheng family must have paid a huge price to pass down the family secret from the celestial realm. He just gave it to Yang Chun without the slightest hesitation. How could Yang Chun not be grateful? You and I are brothers. There is no need to say this. Li Cheng waved his hand, picked up the wine jar in front of him, and clinked it with Yang Chen's and drank it. Of course, Yang Chen also accompanied him to the end, and soon the jar of wine was finished. I'm a little curious. Where did you get your human sovereign energy from? Li Cheng also finished the wine jar in one breath, reached out to pick up a piece of shell meat, and threw it into his mouth. After chewing a few times and swallowing, he asked curiously. Yang Chun did not hide much about the Renhuang Qi. He immediately told her about the experience of sealing his cultivation and tempering his state of mind with his 4 wives in Qixia town. He even told her about how he faked his death for decades in the tomb. I see, Li Cheng said, as if he was suddenly enlightened, but he did not ask how Yang Chun knew that the human sovereign Qi would appear at that place at that time. Everyone had their own secrets, just like how Yang Chun would never ask Li Cheng why he had such a terrifying cultivation. Next, Yang Chen did not hide anything. He explained how he guided Sun Qingxue to absorb the ultimate demonized demonic vine, how he guided Shi Shanshan to absorb the supreme pure yang sword qi left by Ancestor Lu, and how he guided Shi Shanshan to set up a formation using a human pole. These experiences almost made Li Cheng stay on the side, and he couldn't believe it. The ultimate demonized demonic vine was okay. After all, it was just a corpse. As long as Yang Chun could absorb the demonic qi on it, there would be no problem at all. Similarly, with the help of the Dragon Clan's Mountain River geographical map, it was not difficult to subdue dozens or hundreds of Deshang stage masters. However, to be able to find the supreme, pure yang sword qi left by Ancestor Lu, this was not something that ordinary people could do. Your luck really leaves me speechless. Li Cheng also couldn't help but sigh at Yang Chen's opportunity. That guy is said to have only left a sword qi to a mysterious old friend, hoping that he could use this sword qi to make a meteoric rise. As a result, his friend was also tough. He didn't use it and relied on his own cultivation to cross the tribulation and ascend. I didn't expect that the things left behind were actually given to you. It's not me, it's your sister-in-law. Yang Chun smiled and corrected the little mistake in Li Cheng's mouth. His face was full of happiness. There are not many times that Li Cheng could show such an expression. He could see it once. Don't you have anything to take advantage of? Li Cheng directly gave Yang Chen a look. Don't tell me that you just threw away the scabbard. In the future, as long as your cultivation base improves and you continue to refine it, what sort of chi can hurt you? This was not Li Cheng bragging. The scabbard left by ancestor Lu looked inconspicuous, but it was a good thing that could withstand the supreme, pure Yang sword chi. Other sword chi, as long as it was not as strong as ancestor Lu's sword chi, it could never be destroyed. It was equivalent to Yang Chen easily having an ultimate defensive magic weapon. Hee hee. Yang Chen laughed out loud, and his face was full of pride. Does Big Brother think that I am the kind of person who doesn't know what's good for me? The implication was that he had already admitted Li Cheng's words. Little Shui, Shan Shan, and a Ling have guidance. What about you? Li Cheng squinted at Yang Chen. Don't you want a bowl of water to be fair? You. How did you arrange it? You refined the dragon horn flying sword himself, plus the Emperor's aura. It should be barely enough to protect himself. Yang Chen still said with a smile on his face. In front of Li Cheng, Yang Chen did not have to hide his inner thoughts. I can't think of any good way at the moment. I can only let you do as usual. I still hope that Big Brother can give you some guidance. Li Cheng looked at Yang Chen's roguish look and couldn't help but roll his eyes at him again. However, he and Yang Chen looked at each other and laughed without restraint. Yang Chen came to him so much that Li Cheng had to use his brain. Seeing that Li Cheng began to think, Yang Chen was very attentive and opened another wine jar for Li Cheng, sent it to him, and then waited slowly. He believed that Li Cheng must have a way to make Gao Yu's cultivation go to a higher level. Because he cared too much, Yang Chen himself did not dare to interfere too much with Gao Yu's cultivation. Especially in the absence of Gao Yu's previous life's cultivation memory, Yang Chen was even more careful. This kind of mood was probably the same as the principle that doctors were not autonomous. The more they valued someone, the less they would easily take action. There was no doubt that Gao Yu was the most important person in Yang Chen's mind. Li Cheng thought about it for half an hour. Yang Chen did not urge him. He sat opposite and slowly drank the wine, waiting quietly. Finally, Li Cheng took a long breath, reached out to grab the wine jar in front of him, and took a big gulp. Yang Chen knew that Li Cheng must have a way. You must have found out from somewhere that I just got some good stuff. Li Cheng looked at Yang Chen's face of expectation and couldn't help but laugh and scold. Well, it seems that this thing can't be kept after all, so I might as well help my sister-in-law. As Li Cheng said this, he wiped his hand on the table, and 3 quaint copper bottles appeared on the table. Looking at the style of the bottle, it was impossible to judge what age it was. However, the complex patterns and arrays on it all showed the preciousness of the items in the bottle. Chapter 1253. What's this? Yang Chen was quick. Almost as soon as Li Cheng put down the bronze bottles, he grabbed all 3 bronze bottles in his hand. He looked them up and down and said, You didn't just take out a few bottles to appease Ayu, did you? Big Brother, I'm not saying this, but if it's not good enough, I won't accept it. Li Cheng was annoyed by Yang Chen's behavior. He stretched out his hand fiercely and scolded Yang Chen. If you don't want it, then forget it. Get back to me? How can I take back what I gave you? Yang Chen said, but his hands were not slow at all. He directly put the 3 bronze bottles into the merit ring. His speed was faster than ever. The moment the merit ring took the bronze bottles, Li Cheng's eyes seemed to brighten, and then he acted as if nothing had happened, with a smile on his face. Big Brother, what's in these rotten bottles? Yang Chen still did not change his tone and belittled the 3 bronze bottles. It's nothing. It's just some sovereign aura that several generations of people have painstakingly collected. Li Cheng had no hope for Yang Chen's conduct, so he directly replied angrily, The Demon Emperor's aura, the Devil Emperor's aura, and a few traces of the Fairy Emperor's aura. Upon hearing that it turned out to be these 3 kinds of imperial aura, Yang Chen's face directly bloomed with joy. The worst kind of imperial aura could easily knock down the opponent by a small realm. If these kinds were added, it would not be difficult to directly knock down the opponent by a large realm. As long as Gao Yu absorbed and refined all these kinds of imperial aura, her future achievements would be limitless. This time, Gao Yu's cultivation problem was completely solved. With these imperial aura as a foundation, even if Gao Yu used the most ordinary method to cultivate step by step, she would still be one of the few masters in the fairy realm in the future. Yang Chun was so happy that he could not find the north. If you have that thing, it seems that merit is not a big problem, right? Li Cheng ignored Yang Chen's silly laughter and asked directly. It was not surprising that he knew about merit and could recognize the merit ring. Yang Chen did not find it strange at all. He directly revealed the merit ring for Li Cheng to see clearly. He replied with a smile, "Of course, I still have to thank Big Brother for your guidance. You came out from the Immortal Executioner's platform?" Li Cheng asked casually. This time, Yang Chun did not answer. Instead, he nodded. This was the only channel of communication between the immortal world and the mortal world. There was only one explanation for mortals to have merit rings. There was no other explanation. It seemed like Li Cheng knew quite a bit about the immortal world. No wonder you could even find the pure Yang sword chi that fellow left behind. No wonder you're a 5th grade alchemist at such a young age. Li Cheng had a look of sudden realization. As long as he knew the true origin of Yang Chun, it wouldn't be difficult to figure out these problems. Since that's the case, the Jade Slip has the method to refine the flying sword. You can slowly refine it. Li Cheng didn't ask anymore and then instructed. This was the first time that Yang Chun shared his secret with others. He felt as if a huge stone had been dropped in his heart. There was no longer the loneliness of needing someone to keep his secret alone. In an instant, he felt indescribably refreshed and carefree. He reached out and picked up the big jar of wine in front of him. In the blink of an eye, another jar of wine was poured into his stomach. You've killed so many in there. These small fries in the mortal world, you don't have to do it yourself. Li Cheng's words seemed to be warning and persuading. Just kill a few of them. Don't worry about the rest. When you reach the immortal world, you'll have the chance to kill them. Yang Chun kept nodding. Li Cheng's words almost hit the bottom of his heart. After killing tens of thousands of immortals, killing these blind guys in the mortal world really didn't feel anything. Just as Li Cheng had said, personally taking action was giving them too much credit. After the business was finished, the two began to drink and talk about some other topics. It had to be said that Li Cheng's knowledge made Yang Chen admire him sometimes. There was almost nothing in the world that Li Cheng didn't know. Big Brother, where is the pure, true fire? Since Li Cheng knew so many secrets, Yang Chen's heart moved and asked. If he wanted to refine the prolonging life pill, he needed the pure Yang true fire and the pure true fire. Now the pure Yang true fire was in the secret chamber of the Chunyang Palace, but the pure true fire had not been found. Pure true fire? Li Cheng immediately frowned. After thinking for a while, he gave a not very accurate answer. It seems that the ancestors had a record of it in a place, but I'm not sure. Where? Yang Chen didn't expect to get an answer, but he didn't expect Li Cheng to really know, so he asked in surprise. It's just a legend. No one can be sure. Li Cheng emphasized again, and then replied, You should have heard of Languel, right? Not only had he heard of it, but everyone knew about it. Yang Chen responded in his heart, and his face began to smile bitterly. Languel was a mysterious place. According to research, it might be the mountain gate of an ancient sect. No one knew what happened to that sect. Anyway, all the disciples disappeared without a trace, and even the sect was sealed, but countless treasures were left behind. Every 1,000 years, it would appear in the human world. Every time it appeared, it would cause the cultivators to go crazy. Countless people would rush to that place, try to find their own opportunities. Those who had great opportunities had also obtained countless good things from it, including magic treasures, elixirs, martial arts, and everything else, making countless people jealous and kill people. Of course, those who survived and got the treasures in the end all became masters. There had never been an exception. This also drove countless cultivators to risk their lives to go in and try their luck. In fact, Languel was not the real treasure. It was at best an entrance. The real treasure trove was the world inside the well, and the most important and mysterious thing was the Langia crystal ship inside. In order to be able to board the Langia crystal ship, countless people thought of ways and means. When Yang Chun obtained the 5-element hook, the first thing he thought of was to board the Langia crystal ship. Every time the Langia crystal ship appeared, it would be accompanied by countless bloodshed. Those who wanted to find the treasures in the Langia well would kill each other until rivers of blood flowed. Even so, every time it appeared, it would always attract many cultivators to rush into the Langia well. They were not afraid of death, and this situation had never changed for tens of thousands of years. Hearing that it was this place, Yang Chen couldn't help but smile bitterly. Counting the days, in about 100 years, the Langia well would appear. If he wanted the pure, true fire, it seemed that he had to go. Chapter 1254. From the bottom of Yang Chen's heart, he was not willing to compete with a group of greedy people for some of the so-called treasures that had already been clearly revealed. With the memories of his previous life, coupled with the secrets that he learned from the mouths of the immortals on the Immortal beheading platform, it was enough for Yang Chen to make a fortune quietly. With such conditions, only a fool would compete with those greedy guys for a large number of things that were not necessarily better than what he knew, but would bring countless more troubles and struggles. Even if he fought for it, he might have to hide with a reputation of being a troublemaker. It was not worth it. Counting the things that Yang Chen had obtained from the beginning of his cultivation to the present, whether it was the pure bottle medicine garden or the treasures of the Dragon Palace, whether it was the immortal beheading blade, or the various original spiritual fluids and original cultivation methods, whether it was the various secret plane resources or the supreme pure yang sword chi, any of these things that he took out would be earth-shattering. How stupid would he be to compete with others for a kind of third-rate goods that could not be of a higher grade? Moreover, since Yang Chen already knew the location of certain things, he would not let them be discovered before he collected them. That was the behavior of a pure fool who felt that he didn't have enough troubles on him to do such a thing. Therefore, even if Yang Chen knew the location of the Langia well, knew the opening time of the Langia well, and even had the powerful 5-element hook in his hand that could definitely allow him to board the Langia crystal ship, Yang Chen did not intend to join the fun at the beginning. However, Li Cheng told him that the pure true fire was likely to be in the Langia well, which made Yang Chen's heart skip a beat. Yang Chen understood that Li Cheng, in this kind of speculation, if there was no more than 70% certainty, he would not easily tell Yang Chen. Since he said so, it was very likely that the pure true fire was really in the Langia well. In this case, Yang Chen had to consider going to the Langia well. Even if he had to face the world's heroes at that time, he had to make this trip. After making up his mind, Yang Chen also relaxed. What was there to be afraid of? He had the 5 elements rope hook in his hand, so he would definitely be able to board the Langia crystal ship. Maybe there would be other surprises at that time. As for the fact that many people knew that there would be killing, what a joke. Would the official executioner of the heavenly court be afraid of killing? In this world, as long as one was a disciple of the Tao sect, they were afraid that killing would bring about inner demons. The only one who was not afraid was probably Yang Chen. With the whereabouts of the pure true fire, it was at least good news. Yang Chen was very happy and drank happily with Li Cheng. After the two of them finished over a dozen jars, Li Cheng unceremoniously accepted the remaining 100 or so jars of fine wine that Yang Chen had fished out. After bidding farewell to Yang Chen, Li Cheng immediately boarded the back of the iron-winged eagle that had already rushed back and left. Li Cheng came quickly and left quickly, leaving a lot of solutions for Yang Chen and gifts for his sisters-in-law. He was very free and easy. Yang Chen watched the back of Li Cheng and the iron-winged eagle disappear. Then he sat back at the table and began to study the jade slip that Li Cheng had brought to him. All the girls were stunned by Li Cheng's generosity, and then they were lectured in a reprimanding tone about worldly possessions. With the qualifications of the 7 girls, all of them had gained something. It couldn't be helped when a series of worldly possessions hit you so much that you couldn't even be surprised. There would always be a qualitative improvement in your state of mind. Now the 7 women were in such a state, plus Yang Chun also gave them a second-grade questioning inner heart pill to help. He believed that they would not wake up in a short time. And once they woke up, their state of mind would definitely be greatly improved. Speaking of which, Gao Yu, Gong Sun Lin, Shi Shan Shan, and Sun Qing Xue had already reached the point of being impervious to worldly possessions. Following Yang Chun, this evildoer husband, they couldn't help but raise their horizons. Even the most inconspicuous native dog had become Yazzie. What else could make them shocked and confused? Perhaps her husband was the only one who could come up with so many surprises. There were not many things recorded on the jade slip. It could be seen that it was newly engraved with spiritual awareness. It must be a copy of the ancestral records by Li Cheng. Thinking about it, it was normal. Li Cheng would not take out the original to Yang Chun. Most of the content was about the merit value, but Yang Chun found that it was all about how the merit value could be used for refining and alchemy. There was no introduction of the merit value or the most commonly used description of the exchange of the merit value. This could only mean one thing. Li Cheng had long known that Yang Chun understood this. Maybe he had already guessed Yang Chen's identity as an executioner, but not long ago, he just got the accurate answer from Yang Chen's mouth. In the heavenly court, for almost thousands of years, Yang Chun did not know that merit could actually be used for refining and alchemy. After watching for a while, Yang Chun couldn't help but be dumbfounded himself. How could the things recorded in it be known by ordinary almighty immortals? Just who was the ancestor of Big Brother Li Cheng? How could he know such a terrifying secret? Speaking of which, whether it was using merit value to refine alchemy or refining, the effect was completely reflected in one word: heaven-defying. As long as it was refined with merit value, there would definitely be a powerful effect that would never appear in ordinary times, and it could even subvert everyone's common sense. To use a simple example, the body refining pill could improve the physique of ordinary people and cultivators, but for cultivators, the change was not much. Even at least to the 5th rank, it could be close to slightly improving the cultivator's 5 elements spiritual root. In the past, Hannah Mengyu took a 5th rank body refining pill from Yang Chun, so her wood attribute spiritual root was improved by 2 points. The improvement of the attribute of spiritual root by 2 points was already like a miracle of good luck. If she hadn't been in Yang Chen's medicine garden with hundreds of thousands of years old spiritual herbs, under the influence of medicine qi and her natural affinity with plants, it would be impossible to achieve this. If she wanted to achieve the effect of improving the attribute of spiritual root, at least to the 7th rank body refining pill would be barely effective. If she wanted to completely improve it to the full value, she had to find a 9 turns body refining pill. The problem was, in the mortal world, where could the 9 turns pill come from? Even in the spiritual world, it was impossible to have such things that shouldn't exist. The place that could produce the 9 turns pill, except for those guys who had the top 10 alchemy furnaces in the heavenly court, there was no other place. Of course, Taishan Laojun didn't know to what extent it could reach. Maybe it had already surpassed the concept of 9 turns, but Yang Chen still didn't know. If in the process of refining ordinary body refining pills, merit value could also achieve the effect of improving the attribute of spiritual root, this was the so-called heaven-defying. Chapter 1255. It could make the ordinary body refining pill reach the effect of the 7th grade body refining pill. If this was not called heaven-defying, what else could be called heaven-defying? The reason for this heaven-defying effect was because of the merits. Of course, it was not that adding a few points of merits could make the 1st grade body refining pill reach the effect of the 7th grade. The specific degree of heaven-defying depended on the amount of merits added. The more merits added, the more obvious the effect of heaven-defying was. For Yang Chun, the merits now were the most unworthy of cherishing. The merits of Yang Chun at the moment were only under the current system of the heavenly court, and what Yang Chun wanted to do after his rebirth was to overthrow the heavenly court led by the profound heaven sect. Since even the current heavenly court had to be overthrown, then the merits left by the overthrown heavenly court could only be wasted if it was not used. Others didn't know, But Yang Chun himself knew that he had a few infinite merits. Even if he went to the heavenly court and tried his best to use it, it would not be used up in just a few thousand years. Now that he knew that there was such a good thing, Yang Chun was of course eager to use it. The most important point was that the magic weapon that was refined with the merits was better than the medicinal pill. The effect of heaven-defying had no side effects at all, because Yang Chun had paid the price of merits. The jade slip that Li Cheng gave to Yang Chun at this time to use the merits for alchemy and refining was simply a good thing tailor-made for Yang Chun. If Yang Chun used the simplest words to describe his feelings, then there were only 3 words: rich. Yang Chun had a lot of people around him, the head of the palace and the elders Du Qian, Shanghai Feng, Wang Yuan, Hannah Mingyu, Shike, Xie Shagashan, Ho Yun, these monster race friends, and the fellow apprentices of his previous life. There were dozens of them. The cultivation qualifications of these people were not as good as Yang Chen's wives and concubines with innate spirit root full value. Their cultivation qualifications were at most medium. After knowing the ultimate use of merit, Yang Chun could refine a batch of 5 revolution body refining pills to improve their cultivation aptitude, although the effect might not be as strong as if they had taken it at the beginning of their cultivation. After all, they were still in the mortal world, and their cultivation time was not long enough. The improved postnatal spiritual root was enough for them to be ranked among the almighty immortals in the future. Of course, Yang Chun had to pay a lot of merit points. This was equivalent to forcefully improving a person's spiritual root in the mortal world. To put it bluntly, it was defying the heavens and changing one's fate. For each of them, Yang Chun had to pay at least 100 trillion merit points. This was only the price to pay to upgrade their spirit roots to excellent ones. If they wanted to cultivate their spirit roots to the maximum value, they would probably have to pay countless merits. This was just a body refining pill to enhance the spiritual root. If Yang Chun added a large number of merits to the 5th grade Lingji mushroom jade pill, Mu Ming Yuan's injury would not have any sequelae at all. It could be completely restored to the original level, and even bring more benefits to Mu Ming Yuan. Unfortunately, he didn't know this method at that time. As for the other famous heaven-seizing pill, questioning inner heart pill, 100-year pill, 7 emotions, and 6 desires pill, and so on, the effective improvement was not to mention. To describe it bluntly, any ordinary medicinal pill, as long as enough merit points were added, could become an immortal pill. There was such a powerful effect in alchemy, and refining was no exception. The principle was basically the same. If you want to have a more heaven-defying effect, you need to pay more merit points. Yang Chen's 9th water-flying sword could not be refined by Yang Chen at this time because of the raw materials. However, if a lot of merit points were used as the price, the black liquid secreted by the ultimate demonized vine was not impossible to tame. The only thing to consider in the refining process of this 9th water-flying sword was not to hurt the owner, Yang Chun. As for how much it could hurt the enemy, naturally, the more powerful the better. Who would worry about their weapon being too powerful? The method of using merit points was explained in detail in the Jade Slip. In fact, this part was the real essence. Yang Chun looked at it the most carefully, almost picking out every word and sentence. He didn't want to read it wrong, and he didn't want to misunderstand it at all. Soon, Yang Chun discovered that at his current cultivation realm, it was not easy to use merit points. Although it was earned by oneself, there was still a limit to how much it could be used. It was not about how much it could be used, but the speed at which it could be used. The higher the realm, the higher the efficiency of using merit points. So far, the largest amount of merit points that Yang Chun could use at one time was only 1 trillion. Whether it was alchemy or refining, it was at most 1 trillion at one time. Compared to Yang Chen's huge amount of merit points, which was measured in infinity, 1 trillion was negligible. However, if it was any ordinary immortal, it would not be easy to accumulate so much merit points in such a short period of time since the establishment of the Heavenly Court. Except for the group of people who could appear in the soaring Heaven King Hall every day, few could exceed this number. Naturally, the amount of merit points used was limited, and the effect of Yang Qin's refining of the 9 water-flying sword was also limited. Fortunately, this number was enough for Yang Qin to successfully refine the 9 water-flying sword. In the future, as long as he diligently maintained and tempered it, the level of the flying sword would be higher and higher. As long as the 9 water-flying sword could be successfully refined, Yang Qin's goal would be achieved. Li Cheng said that he had found a solution, and it was not an exaggeration at all. The only thing to consider was that if he wanted to be proficient in using the merit points with Yang Qin's current realm, it would take at least a few decades to practice according to the method recorded in the Jade Slip. After all, he was still in the mortal world, just like a child learning to speak. Even if he had a lot of wealth, he wouldn't know how to use it. Yang Qin almost began to practice with the method on the Jade Slip without thinking. This method, which was named by Li Cheng as the merit point, Yang Qin's practice at the moment also consumed a lot of merit points, which was the price that must be paid. Fortunately, this merit point was just a drop in the bucket for Yang Qin. It was really not a waste. It was just like the consumption of spiritual power in ordinary cultivation. This time, the meeting with Li Cheng was more developed than those ordinary cultivators who found a secret plane. Casually counting, not to mention the merit point, it seemed a bit shabby to describe it as priceless. The Demon Emperor Qi, and Immortal Emperor Qi that were given to Gao Yu were enough to tempt the 5 major sects. Not to mention the 7 concubines. Each of them got an iron-winged eagle monster pet at the peak of the Deshang stage, in addition to the improvement of their state of mind brought by Li Cheng's casual guidance. It's just that Yang Qin didn't quite understand why Li Cheng would let Yang Qin come to this place to meet. Although Li Cheng's iron-winged eagle-type beast was indeed not suitable to show off in the Dao sects, he did not need to show off at all. It was not unacceptable for it to be in the Dao sects territory. He couldn't understand why. Chapter 1256. The 7 girls' seclusion this time did not last for too long. Everyone's comprehension was different. Everyone's cultivation was high and low, so the time it took was also different. The longest was Tao Junki, who took 2 months. The shortest was Murong Yin, who only took 1 month. The others all took more than a month. There were many ways to let a person completely understand that worldly possessions were not worth mentioning. To let people be willing to be poor and hone their moral integrity, to see wealth and glory as dirt was one way. For example, Yang Qin directly piled wealth that was beyond the 7 girls' understanding in front of them. To let them feel that wealth was nothing more than trash like bathwater was also a way. However, comparing the two, if the conditions were met, the latter was far easier than the former, and the effect was completely different. One was to never have it and not want it, the other was to have it all and disdain it. The realms were completely different. Yang Qin could not directly evaluate the advantages of the 2 methods, but he would not let himself and the 7 girls, who were already his women, be forced to follow the first method to cultivate. Cultivation should be a happy thing, not a burden, right? The 7 girls each had their own understanding, and they all looked happy. In particular, each of them had an iron-winged eagle egg. At any time when it hatched, it would be a peak Mahayana realm demon pet. This was a good thing that no amount of spirit stones or magic treasures could exchange for. Even a cultivator indifferent to fame and fortune would be happy to receive such a gift. In the future, don't look like you've never seen the world when you see something. Yang Qin had the posture of a rich and overbearing nouveau riche master, facing his 7 concubines and commanding, "I, Yang Qin's women, can't afford to lose that person. Yes, husband." The 7 girls very cooperatively bent their knees and saluted Yang Qin, sweetly agreeing. To Yang Qin's surprise, after a little inspection, Yang Qin found that the iron-winged eagle demon pets that Li Cheng gave to the 7 girls each had a different attribute of the 5 elements. Every single one of them happened to be able to promote their master's 5 elements. Tao Junki had a fire spirit root, and her demon pet was of the wood attribute. Wood gave birth to fire. Shi Wushuang was of the wood attribute, and her demonic pet was of the water attribute. The Murong sisters themselves had the 5 elements complete, and their demon pets were also matched according to the 5 elements, so they also had the 5 elements complete. In this way, just by relying on the demon pet, they can set up a powerful 5 elements formation. It must be known that all the monster pets were at the peak of the Dashang stage. The 5 sisters combined, according to Yang Chen's secret estimate, could at least compete with a great elder who stayed in the mortal world for 300 years and was at least a 2nd-grade human immortal. Not only was everyone's demon pet powerful, but it could also promote the master's cultivation in this aspect. For the 7 girls, it was definitely a good thing. Even Yang Chen didn't know how Li Cheng was able to do this. It must be known that iron-winged eagles should only have one attribute. In addition, the iron-winged eagle demon pet had a great advantage. That was, its flying speed was extremely fast. The speed of the flying monster, coupled with the strength of the peak Dashang stage, was fully exerted. The shuttle's current speed could not catch up. The 7 girls had one more demon pet, which was equivalent to having a very good mount. With such a good thing, Yang Chen certainly would not waste it. Incubating the demon pet required a huge amount of spiritual power. Fortunately, the Dragon Palace was around, and the girls did not have to worry about the lack of spiritual pulse. Under the instructions of Yang Chen, all of them were obedient in the Dragon Palace to mark their own demon pet, and then guided the spiritual power to incubate the demon pet. Yang Chen once told the girls that he would come here to find a way to refine the flying sword. At first, the girls didn't think much of it. What kind of refining method was not available in the 5 major sects? Did they still need to go somewhere else to find an unknown big brother? However, since Yang Chen insisted, the girls were very obedient and didn't say much. Anyway, they were just Yang Chen's concubines. If they married a chicken, they would follow the chicken. If they married a dog, they would follow the dog. If Yang Chen wanted to come here, they could only follow. If there was no other way, they would go back to the sect to help Yang Chen find it. And there would always be a way. The sect would not care about using such a small refining method to get closer to Yang Chen. But after seeing Gao Yu's refining method later, the 7 girls were completely convinced by Gao Yu. Even Gao Yu couldn't solve the problem of Yang Chen refining the flying sword. None of the 7 girls was sure that the method of their own sect could solve it. They didn't even know what kind of flying sword Yang Chen was going to refine, and Yang Chen didn't want to break the rules of the demon continent and wouldn't let them know. When they came here, with a few words, Li Cheng let the 7 girls enter a state of epiphany. They didn't even know what Yang Chen and Li Cheng said. At this point, some intimacy could be seen for the time being. At least Li Cheng would not face Gao Yu, Shi Shanshan, Gong Sunling, and Sun Qingxue like this. After all, the 7 girls entered Yang Chen's door for a short time, and everyone did not need Yang Chen to slowly cultivate them because they had a deep emotional foundation. The birth of 7 peak Dashang monster pets was not such a calm thing. Everyone's cultivation base was different, and the natural incubation time was also different. Tao Junkie was the fastest. The Murong sisters were almost second. Shi Wushuang entered the Dashang stage the shortest time. She was the slowest one. The hatching of each iron-winged flying eagle would trigger at least 2 hours of spiritual power out of control. The spiritual power belonging to the iron-winged flying eagle in the surrounding thousands of miles of the sea would gather violently towards the monster pet at the moment of hatching, and the spiritual power disorder caused was enough to make a Jidon stage cultivator go mad on the spot. For several days in a row, there were almost 2 hours of this every day, and one day there were even 8 hours. Fortunately, there were not many powerful sea beasts in the surrounding sea. Otherwise, it would have been treated as a seafood delicacy by the newly born peak Dashang monster pet. Before hatching, Yang Chen taught the 7 girls the beast-controlling secret art so that they could communicate with their monster pets. The 7 girls almost immediately discovered that the beast-controlling secret art taught by Yang Chen was much better than the ones they knew. At the moment, they were slightly surprised, but after experiencing so many surprises around Yang Chen, they finally had a certain immunity to this kind of monstrous thing, and there was not too much fuss about it. The weather of the monster pet hatching was too amazing. A few hours after Shi Wushuang's monster pet hatched, Yang Chen and the women's eyes were all concentrated in one direction. I wonder who has such a big prestige. It turns out to be Master Yang and his wife. It's really a rare guest. More than a dozen figures appeared calmly in that direction, and the one in the lead began to bow at Yang Chun. I am Zhao Qingtan. I have seen Master Yang. Chapter 12:57. The one who spoke was Zhao Qingtan. Yang Chun and all the women recognized him. When Yang Chun sold the cultivation secrets of the 5th grade alchemist master, there were two ancient big families involved, one of which was the Zhao family. Zhao Qingtan, who spoke at the moment, was one of the 3 people who listened to Yang Chen's teaching experience at the time. Judging from experience, Zhao Qingtan already had the cultivation base of the late Deshang stage, basically the same as Tao Junkie. But now Tao Junkie already has the peak Deshang stage iron-winged eagle monster pet, and her combat power may be slightly better. What surprised the women was that among the dozen or so figures that appeared, none of them were below the Deshang stage. This kind of lineup came from an ancient family, so people couldn't help but be fearful. The 5 major sect was the absolute leader-level sect in the domain of the Dao sects. However, in the domain of these overseas rogue cultivators and distant big families, there was not much control. Generally speaking, these ancient big families have their own inheritance, and they would not easily pick a fight in the Dao sect's territory. Everyone was still in harmony. Although it was normal for the masters of the Deshang stage to appear this time. After all, 7 peak Deshang monster pets were born, and the masters below the Deshang stage were just sending food. But so many of them came out at once, which let the women see the terrifying background of the Zhao family. Well said, it turned out to be Senior Zhao. Yang Chen also cupped his hands and saluted. After returning the salute, he asked curiously, I don't know if Senior Zhao is passing by, or is it a coincidence? During the conversation, more than a dozen masters of the Zhao family had already arrived on the island. Looking at the 7 girls behind Yang Chen, no one had any extra movements. They just stood opposite in an orderly manner, vaguely forming a semicircle like encirclement, enclosing Yang Chun and the 7 girls in it. My home is nearby. I suddenly found that the spiritual power here is chaotic, so I came to see it. Zhao Qingtan said without concealment. His face was full of smiles, and he didn't know if it was because he was happy to see the Master Yang Chun or because of other reasons. While I was out traveling, I passed by this place. Coincidentally, I thought of a difficult problem with arrays, so I practiced it here. Yang Chun lied through his teeth. With an apologetic expression, he explained to Zhao Qingtan, I didn't expect to disturb you, Senior Zhao. Please forgive me. The reputation of the Murong sisters was well known, and they were all in the Deshang stage. It was not incomprehensible for them to practice a formation and cause chaos in the spiritual power of heaven and earth. The cultivation qualifications of the 5 women were high, and it was not too much for the formation of the 5 people to be able to have the momentum of the peak of the Deshang stage. Oh, Grandmaster Yang got married again? After Zhao Qingtian listened, he immediately changed the topic from the spiritual power chaos to Yang Chen's marriage. I don't know which one is the master's wife. Please forgive my rudeness. As he said, he repeatedly cupped his hands at the 7 women. Greetings, fellow Taoist Zhao. Since he asked, the 7 girls also bowed to Zhao Qingtian valiantly. Although Yang Chun called Zhao Qingtian Sr., they didn't call him like Yang Chun, but just called him fellow Taoist. The disciples of the big sect had such confidence and pride. Seeing the 7 girls greeting him at the same time, Zhao Qingtian understood that they were all the wives of Yang Chun. He couldn't help but feel envious in his heart, but he congratulated him warmly. It's better to meet by chance than to invite. Since we met, it's fate. After congratulating him, Zhao Qingtian invited him warmly. My house is nearby. Please come and be my guest. It's my honor to have you as my guest. It was very common etiquette to invite someone they knew to a nearby house to have a chat. However, Yang Chun felt that the appearance of this Zhao Qingtian was very strange. When Li Cheng came, he was riding the 8th grade human immortal iron-winged eagle. How come they didn't come out? On the contrary, it was very strange that so many masters of the Deshang stage came out when they made a little movement at the peak Deshang stage. If that's the case, then I will bother you." Although the posture was a bit strange, Yang Chun was not a person who was afraid of trouble, especially with 7 new concubines, plus 7 Peak de Shang stage demon pets. Where couldn't he go? He immediately agreed to the other party's invitation without hesitation. Li Chung asked Yang Chun to come to this island. There must be a purpose. Maybe this Zhao family was what Li Chung wanted Yang Chun to know. With this premise, even if it was a dragon's pool or a tiger's den, Yang Chun would break into it. Moreover, the 7 girls were not weak women who could be bullied, but there were masters of the Deshang stage from the 3 major sects of the Dao sects behind them. At the moment, Yang Chun put away the Dragon Palace and followed Zhao Qingtian. Under the escort of a group of Zhao family masters, they went straight to the family that Zhao Qingtian mentioned. The Dragon Palace at the moment was nothing more than the image of an island hut. It was inconspicuous, and there was no spiritual power overflowing. Seeing that Yang Chun even wanted to collect such a simple small hut, those masters of the Zhao family couldn't help but have a burst of contempt in their eyes. These contemptuous eyes were seen in the eyes of the 7 girls, and they suddenly had an urge to laugh secretly. These guys who didn't know what was good and what was their imagination in the past, thinking that Yang Chen's courtyard was just a few ordinary small rooms. They really didn't know how stunned these guys would be after knowing the truth. Although it was said to be an escort, the masters of the Zhao family brazenly surrounded Yang Chun and the 7 girls in the middle. Except that they didn't put shackles on Yang Chun. Everything else seemed to be no different from an escort. Yang Chun didn't seem to see all this, and the 7 girls were also obedient. They were the women who followed Yang Chun. They did whatever Yang Chun did, and they didn't show the slightest anger. "Senior Han, forgive me for being presumptuous. When I came down, I didn't see any island where people could live within thousands of miles. I wonder where is the residence of Senior's family?" In the blink of an eye, everyone flew for almost a few hundred miles. Yang Chun followed Zhao Changtian to fly on the sea and asked curiously, "Ha ha." Zhao Changtian didn't directly answer Yang Chen's question. Instead, he laughed wildly and then replied proudly, "Everyone who comes to the Han family is like this at the beginning. Master, don't be impatient. Soon, you will know where the Han family lives." As if to coordinate with Zhao Chengtian's words, the sea in front of them suddenly began to boil. Along with the rumbling sound of water, a huge island suddenly emerged from the surface of the calm sea. On the island, there was a semicircular transparent shield, which isolated all the seawater outside. Below the shield, there were exquisite pavilions and terraces, like a fairyland on Earth. The island was hundreds of miles in radius, and it kept rising. When it finally floated to the surface of the sea, Yang Chun and the 7 girls couldn't help exclaiming in surprise under Zhao Chengtian's complacent eyes. Chapter 1258. The island in the eyes of Yang Chun and the women was not an island. It was simply a huge black tortoise. The shell on the back of this black tortoise was thousands of miles, and the manor of hundreds of miles only occupied less than a quarter of the back area of the black tortoise. The manor was in the hemispherical shield, and there was no shield in other places, so it was all like a wet seabed, full of all kinds of seabed creatures. Often playing on the bottom of the sea, Yang Chun was very clear about the situation on the bottom of the sea. It seemed that the black tortoise had been living on the bottom of the sea for a long time. The huge black tortoise looked like it wanted to break free from some bondage, but it was always bound by some force and could not escape. Looking at this situation, how could Yang Chun and the women not understand that this black tortoise must be controlled by the masters of the Zhao family? Even if they often saw some large beastkin, even Shi Kuei and Xie Sha, who cultivated naturally in the wild, their bodies were only thousands of feet in size. Compared with this black tortoise that was distributed for thousands of miles, they were not even as small as ants. Sure enough, it was because of the creatures in the sea. Because of the buoyancy of the sea, it did not have to bear its own huge weight, so its body could grow to a jaw-dropping level. It seemed that the cultivation of the black tortoise was not low, but it was limited to a certain realm and could not get rid of it. Yang Chen only took a few glances and understood that the cultivation of the black tortoise itself was converted into a spiritual vein by a huge array engraved on the back of the tortoise, and then provided for the people in the entire manner to cultivate. This kind of act of forcibly robbing other beastskin cultivators, if seen by the masters of the beastskin clan, it was really outrageous. However, Yang Chun had not yet overflowed with a sense of justice to the point of seeking justice for a black tortoise, so he just turned a blind eye to it. The huge hemispherical shield of hundreds of miles, in addition to protecting the manor from the invasion of the sea, seemed to have the function of isolating the spiritual awareness. In this way, a lot of things could be explained. No wonder Yang Chun did not find any habitable islands within thousands of miles. It turned out that the Zhao family had been hiding on the bottom of the sea. Even if Yang Chun was vigilant, he would not always explore every inch of the bottom of the sea. The other party used a formation to isolate the spiritual awareness. Yang Chen's spiritual awareness could only explore the bottom of the sea. How could he find any abnormality? This also explained why the Zhao family was so generous, but no ordinary cultivator knew where the Zhao family was. As long as the black tortoise was still alive, they could change their location at any time. It was normal that they could not find it. The tortoise has been here for thousands of years. Of the black tortoise of the sea, Zhao Qingtian's words were passed to the ears of Yang Chun and the girls from his side, and his tone was indescribably proud. Today, Master Yang is honored with your presence. The patriarch specially asked Black Tortoise to float to the sea to welcome you. This is the first time in thousands of years. In any case, Zhao Qingtian's words really made Yang Chun very proud. In of the shield, of the sea, of tortoise of Chun of Zhao, of the tortoise of the of the Zhao, of the of Zhao, of the shield, of tortoise, of Yang of Chun, of tortoise. The shield seemed to only have the function of isolating the sea. When Yang Chun and others landed and passed through, there was no hindrance. Of course, Yang Chun and the women were not rookies who had never seen the world. They would not be naive enough to believe that this shield would have no protection. The Zhao family did put on a big show this time. The door was wide open, and thousands of the Zhao family's disciples lined up from the gate to welcome them. The line went all the way to the reception hall of the Zhao family. The master of the Zhao family and another alchemy master who had appeared in Chunyang Palace last time stood at the gate to welcome them, giving them enough face. Yang Chun was polite all the way. Under the leadership of the master of the Zhao family, he followed the welcoming team formed by the Zhao family's disciples. After arriving at the huge reception hall, only a few elders of the Deshang stage were left to accompany them, and the welcoming team of the Zhao family's disciples dispersed. Just along the way, Yang Chun saw thousands of Jidan stage, thousands of Yuanying stage, and nearly 100 masters of the Deshang stage. The closer they were to the reception hall, the higher the cultivation base of the disciples in the line. The number of masters alone was enough to make the 7 girls behind Yang Chun afraid. Even in their respective sect, the masters of the Deshang stage outside would not be half of this number. Most of the masters were in a state of seclusion, and they would not let outsiders know easily. Those who dared to show off had such strength, one could imagine how many of them were hidden. A master like the Great Elder was not only in the 5 major sect. These families that could last for hundreds of thousands of years, or even longer, which one of them did not have a few backups? When Yang Chun and the women visited for the first time, the Zhao family showed off such a master. They were not afraid of the 7 girls who came from the 3 major sect. If there was no problem in this, then it would really be a ghost. The masters seemed to have given enough face to Yang Chun, but in fact, there was another kind of threat. Even if Yang Chun wanted to have any other thoughts, he had to make a new plan at this moment. Originally, the posture at the beginning made the 7 girls secretly careful, and now they did not dare to be careless. Before the other party had revealed the ultimate purpose, the 7 girls put on a posture of following Yang Chun. They were very respectful, and they did not even make a sound when Yang Chun and the Zhao family master were talking. Yang Chun saw more than the 7 girls. Among these masters who lined up to welcome him, There were many people who were surrounded by demonic energy. Obviously, they had been to the demon continent to gain experience. If Yang Chen's guess was right, the Zhao family obviously wanted to know how Yang Chen dealt with the demonic energy. Master Yang, you have also gained experience in the demon continent. There are some things I would like to ask you. After the Zhao family master and Yang Chen were polite, an elder who had just introduced them came straight to the point and asked Yang Chen for advice. Wait. Yang Chen did not wait for the other party to say the following words, and directly reached out to stop the other party. Yang Chen's action puzzled several people of the Zhao family, and two impatient elders even showed a little angry expressions. I've been on the road these days. My wife has been practicing the formation for many days, and she is also a little tired. Seniors, can you arrange for my wife to rest first? Yang Chen said seemingly politely, and then added, my wife has not been to the demon continent to gain experience, and I think she will not be interested in what we're going to say. The remaining elders all had a little demonic energy, and they must have all been to the demon continent to gain experience. As soon as they heard what Yang Chen said, they immediately understood that when they left the demon continent, they must have also made a great hard oath. It was a big trouble to disclose it to outsiders. Chapter 1259. We have been rude. The Zhao family master immediately apologized and then ordered an elder to arrange for Yang Chen's family to rest in the guest room. The 7 girls were puzzled. What did he mean by they were not interested? On the contrary, they were very interested. However, these words were spoken by Yang Chen, so they could not have any objections. They obediently followed Yang Chen to the guest room. The elder who led them here was very polite and enthusiastic, and even a little grateful, which made the 7 girls confused. After leaving behind a lot of delicious food and drinks, and a few servants to serve them, the elder left. After the elder left, the 7 girls did not say anything and drove the servants out of the guest room. They all started to put down a few restrictions. After making sure that no one outside could hear them, they all looked at Yang Chen. It's nothing more than unwarranted solicitude. Of course, Yang Chen knew what they wanted to ask, so he directly answered with a smile. Husband, are you talking about us shamelessly pestering you? Everyone understood that Yang Chen was talking about the Zhao family, but Shi Wushuang did not directly ask about the Zhao family and the meaning of Yang Chen's words. Instead, she looked at Yang Chen with some hidden bitterness and asked with grievance. The girls immediately realized that it was not only the Zhao family who unwarranted solicitude. When they approached Yang Chen before, didn't they also unwarranted solicitude? If Yang Chen had the impression that they were either unwarranted or burglary, it would not be a good thing. Now, the 7 girls did not want Yang Chen to have such a view of them. Aren't we hooking up and committing adultery? Yang Chen was stunned. Then he smiled and explained, You are now my concubines, my women. If this is not unwarranted, then what is unwarranted? After saying that, he laughed loudly. Although Yang Chen's words were somewhat unpleasant to hear, it was the truth. Strictly speaking, weren't they hooking up with each other as Yang Chen said? His words were crude, but the logic was not. The key was that the girls were afraid that Yang Chen would have a bad impression of them. Since Yang Chen thought so and said that he was the other half of the adulterous woman, it was naturally the words of love in the boudoir, and there was no ill will in his heart. Speaking of which, in the future, this would also be a kind of happiness between husband and wife. Since the women were in cahoots with Yang Chen, it was obvious that the Zhao family was part of the robbers. They didn't seem to have any intention of using a stunning beauty to tempt Yang Chen. Even if they did, 7 girls would do her best to stir things up. How could she allow someone to sleep beside her in her husband's bed? After a while, everyone could clearly feel that Black Tortoise had sunk to the bottom of the sea again. If the Zhao family had any intentions, as long as they sealed the shield of entry and exit, Yang Chen's family could only fall into the situation of catching a turtle in a jar. The other party hadn't said their purpose yet, and Yang Chen guessed that they must have something to ask for. Therefore, before the real intention was revealed, Yang Chen was still very relieved. 7 girls was cautious, vigilant at all times, ready to fight to the death at any time. There's no need to be nervous. Yang Chen simply said, Tomorrow, my husband will go and talk to them and see what they mean. After that, he explained again, some of the things we said are not suitable for people who have not been to the demon continent to know. This is the rule inside. You don't have to go into it. All the disciples of the major sect had been to the demon continent. When they talked about the demon continent, they were either consistent or secretive. 7 girls had seen them all. Since Yang Chan said that this was the rule of the demon continent, they naturally wouldn't ask any more questions. There was no sun and moon at the bottom of the sea, but this Zhao family was on the shield, reflecting the sun, moon, and stars, which was exactly the same as the outside world. The day and night were distinct. Living on the bottom of the sea was no different from living on the surface of the sea. Yang Chen's family rested for a night, and then they were invited to the living room alone. 7 girls naturally stayed in the guest room to rest. Thank you, Master, for reminding me. I almost broke the rule yesterday. Seeing Yang Chun, the elder who spoke quickly yesterday, came up and thanked him politely. The 2 elders who were angry at that time also had amiable expressions on their faces. Naturally, the 2 sides were polite again, and then they got to the point. There was no one here who had not been to the demon continent to gain experience, so naturally there was no taboo in their words. Master, I also want to take the liberty to ask if Master's method of purifying the demonic energy can be taught to our Zhao family. One of the Zhao family elders asked straightforwardly, what kind of price does the Master want? As long as my Zhao family can come up with it, there is no doubt. The method of purifying the demonic energy. Yang Chen's tone was slightly delayed. Several people of the Zhao family looked at Yang Chen with a little nervousness, and Yang Chen's words continued, it's not that it can't be sold, but I can't guarantee that you can learn it. It was the same argument as when he sold the secrets of the 5th grade alchemist. This was not the first time the Zhao family had heard it. I can teach you the method, but whether you can do it or not, that's another matter. The ugly words were said first. If it doesn't work in the future, you can't blame Yang Chen. As long as the master tries his best to teach, there is no reason not to. An elder next to him immediately took over the words and said with a smile, I'm afraid that the master intends to hold back. Then naturally we can't learn it. These words were not so pleasant to hear, and Yang Chen's face suddenly pulled down. The strange thing was that the Zhao family patriarch and several other elders next to him didn't seem to hear it, and it seemed that they didn't jump out to reprimand the elder. Yang Chen's face immediately eased a little. He chuckled, and then replied, a village woman in the mortal world can have a few children. However, even if you cultivate to the great principal golden immortal, I am afraid you can't have half a child. There are some things that can't be learned by teaching. It's normal for aptitude to be limited. Before the elder turned hostile, the Zhao family patriarch finally opened his mouth and asked slowly, Master Yang, I wonder what do you think of the strength of my Zhao family? Very strong. Yang Chen nodded without hesitation and replied directly, it's not worse than the 5 great sect of Dao sects. If the children of the Zhao family go to the demon continent to gain experience, I am afraid that if you really want to fight, maybe you will have the upper hand. In that case, Master Yang, are you interested in joining my Zhao family? The Zhao family patriarch stared at Yang Chen intently and asked very formally, what Xunyang Palace can give you, my Zhao family can double it. What the 5 great sect can give, my Zhao family can also double it. I wonder what Master Yang thinks. As soon as the patriarch said this, several other elders stared at Yang Chen's face, waiting for Yang Chen's answer. Chapter 1260. The external branch of the Zhao clan obviously wanted Yang Chen to join the Zhao clan and become their subsidiary clan. This kind of relationship was very common among cultivators. It was not only the ancient clans that had such relationships. Most cultivation clans actually had such relationships. However, this external branch was obviously a vassal. Once they nodded, it meant that Yang Chen had to obey the master's orders. He would basically have to do whatever they wanted him to do. Although it was said to be an external branch, it was actually a subordinate. Not interested. Yang Chen shook his head directly. What a joke. Not to mention a famous person like Yang Chen. Even a disciple of a small sect would not find a father to be their head for no reason. Unless they had no other way out or received a favor that they could not repay, No one would like to do so. Yang Qin's attitude was within the expectations of the Zhao clan. The Zhao clan master and several elders looked at Yang Qin and nodded, but they did not intend to force him further. On the contrary, the Zhao clan master smiled and said calmly, "Master Yang has worked hard all the way and may be a little tired. Why don't you rest in the guest room and discuss this with your wives? This matter is not urgent." Yesterday, they clearly wanted to ask about the demonic qi, but today, they immediately wanted Yang Qin to be their vassal. It was obvious that some unknown changes had taken place today. At least, Yang Qin did not know about it. The Zhao clan was still very polite. A junior disciple led the way and sent Yang Qin back to the guest room. Yang Qin did not hide anything from his concubines and directly told them the Zhao clan's request. Tao Junkie exploded on the spot. She had a fire attribute spirit root, and her character was not as gentle as she usually was in front of Yang Qin, be it in the sect or outside, who did not know about Fairy Junkie's fiery character. If not for this character, how could Tao Junkie, who had an excellent appearance and figure, remain single until now? It was not easy to find a fellow Taoist who could suppress Fairy Junkie. She came from a prestigious clan and had a high status. She had excellent aptitude, outstanding appearance, and high cultivation. Those who had the slightest bit of ambition could only feel inferior when they saw Fairy Junkie. Only someone like Yang Qin could suppress it. "You're going too far." Tao Junkie saw that the table next to her had been smashed into smithereens with a slap, and said furiously, "Let's kill our way out. I'm afraid it won't be easy to leave now." Shi Wushuang, who was beside Tao Junkie, shook her head and said, none of them were rookies who had ventured out for the first time, so of course they understood what Shi Wushuang meant. In fact, before they entered the Zhao family, they had left a tracking mark outside. The experts of the sect could follow the mark to find their location. Apart from Yang Qin, Tao Junkie, Shi Wushuang, and the 5 Morong sisters had all left the same mark. At that time, there were many Zhao family members present, but none of them stopped them. Now that they thought about it, it was probably because the other party had nothing to fear and wasn't afraid that they had any tricks up their sleeves. The Zhao family had always been mysterious, and ordinary people didn't know where the Zhao family was. Yang Qin's family now understood that it wasn't that they couldn't find it, but the location of the Zhao family was simply changing. Wherever the black tortoise swam, the Zhao family would be. According to this logic, the marks left by the girls yesterday were meaningless at all. Even if the people of their respective sect could track to that place, it was just a vast sea, and they would never find any trace of the girls. Others couldn't see the power of the black tortoise, but Yang Qin was very clear. That black tortoise, in terms of real strength, could definitely compete with the ultimate demonized vine. It was almost at the level of a grade 2 earth immortal, but it was bound by a powerful formation and had to submit to the Zhao family. This level of black tortoise could easily block the divine sense of almost everyone in the mortal world. If it didn't want to be discovered, no one could find it at all. Even Yang Qin himself couldn't. However, thinking of this problem, Yang Qin still had some doubts in his mind. Perhaps Li Cheng could easily find it? For this sworn brother, Yang Qin had always been unable to figure out the depth. So far, he didn't know what level his cultivation had reached. If Yang Qin still couldn't figure out why Li Cheng wanted to meet him on that deserted island before, then now, Yang Qin could be sure that it must be related to this mysterious Zhao family. But for what specific reason, Yang Qin still needed to further explore. The more you know, the more you will find that you don't know enough. Yang Qin was in such a state now. He couldn't understand why there were suddenly so many cultivators beyond the limits of the mortal world in this world. The Supreme Elder, the demonized beast, and now a mysterious black tortoise jumped out. Even Yang Qin knew that there was no spiritual vein in such a huge manner of the Zhao family. Everyone's cultivation was all absorbing the spiritual power of the black tortoise. Just this point alone was enough to shock everyone. So many Deshang stage and Yuanying stage masters, and even those hidden characters like the Supreme Elder, all of them were provided with spiritual power by the black tortoise. How high was the cultivation base of the black tortoise? Now was not the time to figure out the strength of the black tortoise, but everyone had to discuss how to face such a situation. Shi Wuxuang's words were actually very reasonable. When everyone came in, they didn't know how powerful the formation was. Now it should have many other effects, at least trapping people was one of them. The Zhao family didn't care whether Yang Chun agreed or not, which was actually very clear. They were absolutely sure that Yang Chen's family could not leave. Even if there were 7 masters of the Deshang stage, it was impossible to leave the Zhao family, so they were so sure. Anyway, Yang Chen's family was in the Zhao family, so they were not afraid of any actions from them. In such a situation, even Shi Wuxuang was somewhat helpless. They couldn't fight them, and they couldn't escape either. It was really a bit difficult. Just as Shi Wuxuang and Tao Junkie were filled with anger and anxiety, one of the Murong sisters, Murong Yin, who had been silent all this while, gently tugged at the corners of Shi Wuxuang and Tao Junkie's robes, gesturing for them to look at their husband. The 2 women turned their eyes and immediately saw Yang Chen's posture as if nothing had happened. Not only did he not have a sad expression, but he closed his eyes and enjoyed Murong Han's comfortable massage. He took the wine glass from Murong Nan's hand and took a small sip, looking very relaxed. Husband. Tao Junkie immediately held back her anger, and Shi Wuxuang's face was a little more coquettish. She leaned in front of Yang Chun and said softly, "Husband, what good idea do you have?" Chapter 1261. There's no good way. Yang Chun shook his head and added, "At least not now." Listening to his words, Shi Wuxuang's eyes suddenly lit up. Her body almost burrowed into Yang Chen's arms. It was a completely coquettish performance. She twisted her delicate body and asked in a sweet voice, "Then when will there be a way? Tell me, husband." Tao Junkie and the 5 Murong sisters were all busy with their own things and did not see Shi Wuxuang's performance at all. Although the 7 girls tried their best to please Yang Chun at the beginning, there was indeed another way. Everyone's cultivation was higher than Yang Chen's, and they were older. They really could not put down their pride to act coquettishly in front of Yang Chun. Among the 7 girls, only Shi Wuxuang could do this. That depends on when the people from your sect can arrive at the place where you left the mark. Yang Chun took another sip of Jade Dragon wine from Murong Nan's mouth, and then said slowly, "We have to wait for everyone to arrive before we talk about other things." But Tao Junkie immediately asked with some doubts. However, she only said 2 words and was quietly pulled by Murong Yin again. She could not say the rest of the words. At this time, questioning Yang Chun was obviously the same as not believing in Yang Chun. This was actually not good for Tao Junkie. First, she would question her own husband. Second, she would leave a bad impression in front of Yang Chun. When the girls served Yang Chun, they slept together. Moreover, they were all concubines. They were naturally different from Gao Yu and Gong Sunling. The Murong sisters always quietly protected Tao Junkie for fear that she would be excluded. It took us 2 years to get here. It will take at least 2.5 years for the masters of Qinquan's sect to arrive. Shi Wuxuang estimated the speed of Yang Chen's shuttle and gave a more or less the same answer. It will take about this long for the masters of Taishaman to arrive. Tao Junkie followed up with the time of Taishaman. The eldest sister of the Murong sisters, Murong Han, did not say anything. She only nodded at the 2 girls' answers. Yang Chen also understood that it would be the same if the experts of the 5-element sect came over. Then we'll wait for 2 years. Yang Chen chuckled, but he did not explain to the women. He said calmly, "Anyway, the Zhao family seems to have a well-thought-out plan. They are not afraid of any resistance from us. Let's get to know the Zhao family first." For a few days, Yang Chun did not nod his head. The Zhao family was not anxious at all, nor did they force him. They just provided him with good food and drinks. It seemed that they were not afraid of any tricks at all. However, a few days later, the head of the Zhao family once again invited Yang Chun to the guest hall. This time, the elders were not there, but there was one more woman. As soon as they met, Yang Chun recognized this woman from her familiar spiritual consciousness fluctuations. Although she had changed her appearance, changed her figure, changed her voice, and changed her habits, Even if an acquaintance stood in front of her, it would be impossible to recognize her. But some things could not be changed. It turned out to be Elder Lu. I'm sorry for not recognizing you. When they met, Yang Chun directly greeted the woman, and there was a smile on his face and an expression of sudden realization. This woman was clearly Lu Ziwei of the Green Jade Immortal Island, Elder Lu. She escaped from the eye of the sea, and now she actually appeared here. Lu Ziwei was stunned. She obviously did not expect that Yang Chun would recognize her identity. After a while, a smile appeared on her face, and she smiled at Yang Chun. My surname is actually not Lu. My surname is Zhao. Zia is my daughter. The head of the Zhao family watched from the side and suddenly interjected. So that's how it is. Yang Chun suddenly understood a lot. Lu Ziwei, no, Zhao Zia was the daughter of the head of the Zhao family. She was ordered to enter the Green Jade Immortal Island. Whether it was to spy on the secrets of the Green Jade Immortal Island or for other purposes, she became an undercover agent. The Zhao family, because of the big black tortoise, has been active on the bottom of the sea. They were not afraid that anyone could find them. Zhao Zia could easily pass the news to the Zhao family. This was also the reason why she chose the Green Jade Immortal Island, because among the 5 major sects, only the Green Jade Immortal Island was on the sea. How can you recognize me at once? Zhao Zia was a little unwilling to admit defeat and wanted to know the reason, so she asked in a slightly angry tone. I am a 5th grade alchemist master. Yang Chun said with a smile. Your father should know that my mastery of medicinal properties has reached perfection. The head of the Zhao family nodded. At the time of Yang Chen's demonstration, he was present. Of course, he knew Yang Chen's control of medicinal properties. However, Zhao Zia still had some doubts. What does this have to do with you recognizing me? In fact, not only Zhao Zia, but even the head of the Zhao family had the same doubts. It was just that with his identity, it was naturally not good to ask. Since Zhao Zia asked, he waited for Yang Chen to answer. When you understand the medicinal properties to a certain extent, even if you close your eyes, don't rely on anything else, just use your nose, you could distinguish any kind of medicinal material, and even distinguish the origin, the year, and so on. Yang Chen replied very confidently. Although he didn't directly say the reason, it was already obvious. Unless you always wrap your body with spiritual power and spiritual awareness so that no smell can leak out. Otherwise, when Yang Chun said this, he just shrugged his shoulders and didn't speak anymore. Dog knows. Zhao Zia couldn't help but be stunned, and then she whispered her mouth. The head of the Zhao family next to her also understood that it was because of the smell. He couldn't help but look at Yang Chun again. He didn't know how many skills Yang Chun had that he didn't know. You flatter me. Yang Chen didn't seem to hear that Zhao Zia was scolding him. He responded with a smile and then asked, since Elder Zhao is here, then Elder Bei, who disappeared with Elder Zhao, should also be in the Zhao family. Bei Shuangyu and Lu Ziwei were both missing. This kind of thing, of course, the Green Jade Immortal Island would not hide it from Yang Chun. Yang Chun was very clear about this matter. Of course, Zhao Zia didn't hide it and nodded directly. She looked at Yang Chen up and down and suddenly said, You have a good method to scare a master in the middle to Shang stage like that. What method did you use? It's just a small skill. It's not worth praising. Yang Chen was very proud. He responded with a smile and then directly gave a thumbs up. Elder Zhao is really brilliant. First get on the line of the Elder, then slowly go to this step and get Elder Bei back. Maybe it was Elder Bei's people who let you go. After so many things happened, as long as you cure Elder Bei will naturally be grateful. The things that the Elder of the Green Jade Immortal Island mastered easily became the Zhao family's good method. Chapter 1262. As he said that, Yang Chen's heart was also secretly shocked. This Zhao family did not show the mountain and did not reveal the water, but they got great benefits. Even in the memory of Yang Chen's previous life, there was no impression of them. It could be described as a model of making a fortune in silence. In the memory of the Green Jade Immortal Island, there was no reform of the elders, which meant that in the previous life, Zhao Ziyu was not exposed in the Green Jade Immortal Island, and then she was safe and sound in the spiritual world and immortal world. This also meant that the Zhao family had been hiding behind the green jade Immortal Island, enjoying the super benefits, but did not have to bear any responsibility. The green jade Immortal Island had Zhao Ziyu, who knew if there was a Zhao family in other sect. Yang Chun did not doubt at all that the 5 major sects of the Dao sects, and even several major sects of the demon sects, had the shadow of the Zhao family behind them. Because when they lined up to welcome Yang Chen's family, Yang Chun once discovered that there were several masters of the Deshang stage who clearly cultivated the cultivation methods of the demon sections. If it wasn't for Yang Chun to share the experience of the 5th grade alchemist master this time, it was estimated that the Zhao family would not easily jump out and be known. However, this was also thanks to the temptation of the 5th grade alchemist master. If the mortal world could reach the 5th grade alchemist master, the spiritual world and the immortal world could almost be said to be one step at a time. At that time, the 9th grade alchemist master might not be a problem, and the Zhao family couldn't help but be tempted. In fact, it was not only the Zhao family that was tempted. However, now the Zhao family jumped out and actually wanted to merge Yang Chun into the Zhao family's branch. This was definitely the most stupid move and the biggest mistake they made. The means are good, it doesn't matter now. Zhao Ziyu did not look as happy as Yang Chen imagined. This was not surprising. She could have been an elder of the Green Jade Immortal Island until the spiritual world and immortal world. He didn't know how much benefit she could get from it for the Zhao family, but now she had to withdraw. It was normal to be angry. It's understandable. Yang Chun nodded with a smile on his face. If it wasn't for you. Although Zhao Xin was also smiling, it was obviously the kind of smile that came from gritting her teeth. Her words didn't match her heart. If it wasn't for you, it wouldn't have come to this. I wasn't the one who provoked you. Yang Chun replied indifferently. There are so many masters of the demon continent in your family. Don't tell me you don't know what it was like when they first came out of the demon continent. Also, after suffering for 200 years in the eye of the sea, I can still become your elder. I didn't force you to leave. Speaking of which, Zhao Ziyu and Yang Chun had a disagreement because they wanted to suppress Shi Shanshan, who had just returned from the demon continent. It was at that time that Shi Shanshan caused Bei Shuangyu and Zhao Ziyu to lose face, which led to the series of events that followed. Yang Chen's words were obviously not wrong. He didn't provoke them first. The cause and effect don't matter anymore. Zhao Ziyu herself knew that she was in the wrong if she entangled herself in this matter, so she quickly changed her expression. Of course, the smile was always on her face. The important thing is that you are my home now. So what? Yang Chun still had the same indifferent expression as he asked. Perhaps, Master Yang, you don't know the power of my Zhao family's demon sealing formation. Zhao Ziyu seemed to finally have the feeling of victory and smiled very happily. Perhaps Master Yang is still waiting for the masters of your concubine's family to come and save you? Don't be delusional. The Zhao family's patriarch had been standing by, watching his daughter and Yang Chun talk, and never spoke. But the expression on his face was the same as Zhao Ziyin's. There was a feeling that the general trend had been decided, as if everything had been grasped and he had a well-thought-out plan. My family's demon sealing formation was passed down by our ancestors and was guided by the masters of the immortal world. Even if you stand outside the demon sealing formation, your divine sense can't find anyone's position through the formation. Zhao Ziyu didn't even wait for Yang Chun to ask questions and proudly began to introduce the power of the demon sealing formation. Hoping that someone can find your position, don't dream on. If you think that my family's demon sealing formation is only like this, then you are gravely mistaken. Seeing that the expression on Yang Chen's face didn't even change much, Zhao Ziyu seemed to be a little unable to bear it and continued to say, since it is called the demon sealing formation, then it can seal any kind of demon or ghost. Don't think that your concubines can escape because they are in the Deshang stage. Without our permission, even a fly can't fly out. Yang Chen was not surprised. The other party was so sure that they didn't even restrict the personal freedom of their family. Yang Chen knew that they must be confident. This formation was what they relied on. This formation has another effect. Master Yang, you will never think of it. Zhao Ziyu quickly became proud again and said to Yang Chen, Master Yang, you once said that you have a way to collect the aura of the heavenly tribulation, but can you isolate the heavenly tribulation? This formation can work. Yangchen was finally moved and asked. Of course. When Zhao Ziyu saw Yang Chen's performance, the happiness on her face was almost unable to be concealed. She quickly replied, even if your strength has already surpassed the level of ascension in this formation, you don't have to worry about the heavenly tribulation descending. In comparison, the method of the great elders of the 5 major sects is not worth mentioning. This point was very unexpected to Yang Chen. The great elders of the major sect were already existences that people looked up to. Countless small sects tried their best, but couldn't do it. But in this Zhao family, it was actually so easy, just relying on a formation to hide everyone outside of the heavenly tribulation. The demon ceiling formation had this effect, which also explained another of Yang Chen's doubts. That black tortoise's strength was clearly close to the 2nd grade of Earth Immortal, but it didn't attract the heavenly tribulation and directly ascend. Obviously, this was the effect of the demon ceiling formation. Of course, there must be other formations that could control the black tortoise. Otherwise, a 2nd grade Earth Immortal black tortoise wouldn't be so docile. Let a group of mortals control it, and even absorb its spiritual energy to cultivate. In this case, this black tortoise might not be without resentment. Master Yang, even if your concubines already have the strength to ascend, they can't help you escape from my Zhao family. Zhao Ziyu said, so much for this purpose. If I were you, I would obediently be a side branch of my Zhao family. As long as you refine the pills, my Zhao family will take care of them all. Whatever the 5 major sects can give you, my Zhao family can also give you. What if I say no? Yang Chen didn't seem to hear the hidden threat in Zhao Ziyu's words and asked with a smile. Then Master Yang will be a guest in my Zhao family. The Zhao family head took over the conversation and replied with a smile. You can stay as long as you want. Chapter 1263. With this demon ceiling array, the Zhao family would basically have an immortal foundation. If they added the black tortoise with uncertain whereabouts, then no one in the world could shake the Zhao family at all. Since there was a powerful array protection, even the masters who surpassed the Deshang stage could not break through. Naturally, the Zhao family was not afraid that Yang Chen's family would improve their cultivation and rush out. As for the masters inside the Zhao family, with such a demon ceiling array, presumably there would be no shortage of masters like the Supreme Elder in the Zhao family. In their expectation, if Yang Chen's family wanted to be free, it could basically be said that there was no hope at all. At the same time, with the demon ceiling array and the black tortoise, the masters of the 5 major sect couldn't even find a location of Yang Chen's family. There was no need to go to the door to save them. Moreover, even if they found them, so what? Could the masters of the 5 major sect save people from a black tortoise of the Earth Immortal 2nd grade? With such insurance, of course, the Zhao family was not afraid of any resistance from Yang Chen's family. As the days passed, Yang Chen would succumb one day. The Zhao family had such confidence, so not only did they not threaten Yang Chen's family, but they provided them with good food and drinks. They even looked around the Zhao family's manor, but they couldn't leave. The Zhao family had used such a trick more than once. Now, there were several branches of the Zhao family that were accepted in this way. At first, they also firmly disagreed, but didn't they become the Zhao family's branch in the end? With the example of their ancestors in front of them, they were not afraid of what Yang Chen could do. If that's the case, then I'll have to trouble you. Yang Chen didn't seem to have any grievances of being under house arrest, as if he was really a guest in the Zhao family. His tone was natural, without the slightest grievance. If you want to kidnap a child of the Zhao family and force us to let you out, I advise you to give up now. At this moment, Zhao Ziyin was like a victor. She looked at Yang Chen and advised him sincerely, believe me, even if you hurt a small servant of the Zhao family, we will use the life of a concubine to pay for it. When she spoke, Zhao Ziyin had a completely condescending feeling. She looked at Yang Chen as if she was looking at a mouse that had fallen into a cat's nest. No matter how much the mouse struggled, it would only add a little fun to the cat. In the end, it still couldn't escape. Yang Chun was now the mouse that made her happy, and all the grievances he suffered in the Green Jade Immortal Island had been taken back. Zhao Xin was certain that they had already thought of all the methods that Yang Chun could think of. No matter what tricks Yang Chun used, it was impossible for him to set off any storm under the protection of hundreds of great vehicle stage experts of the Zhao family, or even dozens of human immortal experts. Not to mention that the Zhao family also had a Grade 2 Earth immortal superfighter, Black Tortoise. Then what else is there to say? Yang Chun raised his eyes and put his hands behind his back, like an old man. He turned around and walked away. After a few steps, his voice slowly sounded again. If there's any delicious food or good drink, just call it over. I'm not talented, but my appetite is extremely demanding. The Zhao family should not treat me badly, right? Master, feel free to be a guest. If you need anything, there's a housekeeper in the guest room. Just tell him directly, don't be polite. The Zhao family's patriarch had a kind smile on his face. He looked at the back of Yang Chun and said with a smile. Yang Chun walked far away and was about to disappear from the door of the living room. Zhao Xin suddenly shouted at Yang Chun in exasperation. Yang Chun, what method did you use on Elder Bei? The figure who was walking out suddenly stopped. Yang Chun turned back with a smile and asked with some ridicule, Why? Elder Zhao, a little spiritual awareness hypnosis method. You can't solve it? This isn't like the resourceful Zhao clan. Finished speaking, he laughed heartily and turned around to leave. Zhao Xin looked at the disappearing figure of Yang Chun and stamped her feet in hatred, but she couldn't say anything. Since you've already blocked his way out, why do you have to ask this superfluous question? You'll only make him proud and you won't be happy. Why bother? The Zhao family's family head said tenderly when he saw Zhao Ziyu's expression. As his own daughter, Zhao Xin couldn't be happy under his knee. She risked being exposed to go undercover in the Green Jade Immortal Island. It was really hard for her these years. The dignified miss of a Zhao family had to go to the Green Jade Immortal Island to hide her identity and endure all kinds of grievances. From a junior disciple to an elder, the pain could be imagined. But for the Zhao family, she had to do this to convince the public. If Bei Shuangyu can't recover for a day, she can't tell us a lot of things. Zhao Xin explained anxiously. Once the time is too long, I'm afraid there will be many problems. My Zhao family has been here for so many years. Are we still afraid of a little elder of the Green Jade Immortal Island? The Zhao family's patriarch shook his head slightly and patiently explained, You have been away for too long. You don't know the situation of the family these years. Don't worry, nothing will happen. What about Bei Shuangyu? Zhao Xin also knew that she was anxious, so she eased her emotions and asked her father. He also said that it's just spiritual awareness hypnosis. The Zhao family's patriarch said with a smile, No matter how strong the spiritual awareness is, can it be stronger than the Black Tortoise? Let's solve it. It's easy. The discussion between the Zhao family's father and daughter did not last long, and they soon dispersed. Yang Chun returned to the guest room, and he still looked calm. The 7 girls had been waiting a little anxiously. When they saw Yang Chun come back, they all greeted him. Yang Chun relayed the things that Zhao Ziyu had said, but he concealed Zhao Ziyu's identity and didn't say anything. Hearing that the Zhao family had such a powerful demon seal array, the 7 girls were also stunned for a while. But in the face of the dilemma in front of them, no one could do anything. Finally, everyone's eyes looked at their husband, Yang Chun. Don't worry. Yang Chun was very calm from the beginning, and there was no sign of panic. This calmness also made the 7 girls feel at ease. It seemed that as long as they saw Yang Chun like this, they would not panic too much. Imperceptibly, the 7 girls seemed to have forgotten that they were all at the Deshang stage, and their cultivation was much higher than Yang Chen's. Cultivate with peace of mind, try to absorb spiritual power directly from a black tortoise, and see what's the difference between directly absorbing spiritual power from a black tortoise and absorbing spiritual veins. Yang Chun said with a smile, and then added, Don't worry, I have a way. This sentence seemed to be more effective than any comforting words, and the 7 girls were no longer anxious. Their husband was so sure. Obviously, he had a backup plan. Anyway, it was still early for the masters of the sect to arrive, so they would wait slowly. Yang Chun was even more outrageous, and he directly began to refine pills in the guest room. Hearing the housekeeper's report on the behavior of Yang Chen's family, the Zhao family's patriarch smiled slightly and did not comment. He just told them to eat and drink well, and not to worry about anything else. A few days later, Yang Chun, who was closing his eyes to rest and claiming to be refining pills, suddenly noticed a strong fluctuation of spiritual awareness. He suddenly laughed in his heart. The opportunity has come. Chapter 1264. Everyone in the Zhao family manor felt this spiritual awareness fluctuation. The Zhao family was basically used to it, and there was not much surprise. But the 7 girls around Yang Chun all jumped up in surprise. Although it has been expected that the Zhao family had a strong backup, the 7 girls did not think that their hidden strength was so strong. Even the fluctuations of the spiritual awareness could make Tao Junkie, who was in the late Deshang stage, break into a cold sweat, and she couldn't speak for a long time. Even Tao Junkie, who had the strongest cultivation base, was like this. The Murong sisters and Shi Wushuang were even more unbearable. At this moment, Yang Chun could not comfort his 7 concubines. A wisp of spiritual awareness was silently colliding with the sudden outbreak of the spiritual awareness. The beast-controlling secret art of the immortal world was directly launched, and a thought was passed at the moment when the spiritual awareness collided. The descendant of the dragon race, the bloodline of the Tao Wu, did not carry your merit stone tablet, but was driven by people here. It is lamentable. Yang Chen's thought passed over was only this sentence. However, along with Yang Chen's thoughts, there was also a trace of Shao Tian's spiritual awareness and a trace of the dragon bead's aura. The sudden appearance of the powerful spiritual awareness shook violently, and then returned to normal. Then a rough voice sounded in Yang Chen's mind, Tao Wu bloodline. The tone was full of doubts, as if he couldn't believe it. Roar! Yang Chun was just about to express something, but the other party suddenly roared, and then the voice sounded again in Yang Chen's mind. There is a formation barrier. Let's talk about it in detail. After saying this, the incomparably powerful wave of divine sense disappeared, as if it had never appeared, and the entire manor was restored to its original state. The 7 girls were still in a panic. Yang Chun could only hold them one by one, and then soothe them with his spiritual awareness, waking them up one by one and comforting them with a soft voice. After a long time, the girls recovered a little, but there was still no way to return to their normal state. Amazing! Tao Junkie was behind Yang Chun and reached out to hold Yang Chun. She sighed with lingering fear, and even her voice was much smaller, more powerful than the great elder of my sect. It seemed that only by holding Yang Chun could she no longer be so afraid. The Murong 5 sisters were almost connected. At this moment, they gathered together, holding hands in a circle, and they could barely maintain their trembling. Of course, the center of the circle must be Yang Chun. One hand of Yang Chun fell together with Murong Yin and Murong Han. The steady and warm big hand brought them infinite warmth and courage. As for Shi Wushuang, she almost shrank in Yang Chen's arms, and her delicate body was still shivering. Among the 7 women, her cultivation was the lowest, so she was the most shocked. Now the 7 women, where did they have the demeanor of a master of the Deshang stage? It was clear that there were a few frightened girls seeking to rely on their husbands. Of course, Yang Chun and Li Chung were exceptions to this. Even though the 7 girls were from the 3 major sects and had seen many things, this was the first time they came into contact with this kind of strength that surpassed this world. It cannot be helped. Even though the sect had the existence of the great elders, those great elders were at most 2nd or 3rd grade human immortals. At most, they would be 5th grade human immortals. There was nothing that could be done. Even if the few major sects had supreme elders, those supreme elders would at most be 2nd or 3rd stage human immortals. At most, they would be 5th stage human immortals. However, this time, the Zhao family had displayed the strength of an earth immortal. The difference of two realms was not something that could be overcome with willpower or anything else. However, this time, the Zhao family had displayed the strength of an Earth Immortal. The difference of two realms was not something that could be overcome with willpower or anything else. When a foundation-building cultivator met a nascent soul cultivator, other than being trampled upon, what other possibility was there? Being the meat on someone else's chopping block. This was the fear that the 7 women felt most directly. This was a feeling that they had never felt before. They were born in the great sect, and they were cultivation geniuses. No one would dare to treat them like this. This was the first time. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. I'm here for you. Yang Chun kept repeating these words in his mouth, and finally made the 7 women more and more calm, and gradually calmed down. Husband, don't you feel the pressure? Yang Chen's calmness finally caught Tao Junkie's attention. Her question attracted the attention of all the girls. Even Shi Wushuang, who was in his arms, raised her head. She looked at Yang Chen with fear and curiosity. Don't forget, your husband is gifted. He was born with the ability to multitask. Yang Chen loosened his grip on Murong Yin and Murong Han's hands and pointed to his head. He smiled. Some of them were frightened, but some of them were not affected. Only then did the girls remember that Yang Chen emphasized this point when he announced the cultivation secrets of a 5th-grade pill refiner. Yang Chen's explanation made sense, so the girls did not pursue this issue further. Is this the Zhao family's trump card? Tao Junkie recalled the feeling of fear just now. She could not help but shiver and asked anxiously. It should be. Yang Chen understood in his heart that the black tortoise was not the Zhao family's true strength. Perhaps it was an immortal world, but it was definitely more than that in the spiritual realm and the immortal realm. However, at this moment, he could not say too much for fear of scaring the girls around him. Therefore, he said in a guessing tone, even if the masters of the sect arrive, I'm afraid. The first thing that came to Shi Wushuang's mind was the warning they had sent when they had entered the Zhao family's villa. Now that she thought about it, even if everyone's reinforcements could arrive, it would still be disastrous against the Zhao family. At the thought of this, Shi Wushuang could not help but turn pale again. There's no hurry. There's no hurry. Yang Chun tightened his arms and hugged Shi Wushuang even tighter. After giving her some courage, he comforted her. When the cart comes to the mountain, there will be a way out. Don't worry, my husband is here for everything. Her husband was here for everything. These words were like a spell, causing the 7 girls to quickly pull themselves together. For some reason, they had never felt this way before. But now, these few words could make them feel incomparably at ease. Shi Wushuang's delicate body was no longer stiff and trembling. Instead, she found a comfortable position and pressed herself and Yang Chen closer. Even Tao Junkie could not help hugging Yang Chen tighter behind him. Yang Chen could even easily feel the 2 lumps of firmness in front of her chest. The 5 Murong sisters also got closer. Unfortunately, there was no space beside Yang Chen. Otherwise, they might also come up and hug Yang Chen. Master Yang, the master invites you. Just when Yang Chen was hugging his women, a very unpleasant voice suddenly came from outside the guest room. It was the housekeeper of the guest room of the Zhao family. Chapter 1265. Yang Chen followed the housekeeper and once again arrived at the Zhao clan's guest hall. However, before he entered, Yang Chen heard Zhe Ziyu's exasperated voice. Useless thing, Scram. A figure practically rolled out of the guest hall and scrambled out of the doorsill. Without even looking at Yang Chen and the housekeeper, he broke into a run and disappeared before their eyes in the blink of an eye. However, what the bystanders didn't notice was that when that person and Yang Chen crossed paths, Yang Chen clearly saw a hint of anger and unwillingness in that person's eyes. Master Yang, please forgive me for taking the liberty to invite you here. The Zhao clan's clan had displayed a good temper, and his tone was as gentle as usual. Sure. Yang Chen replied casually, then looked at Zhao Ziyu, who had a bad expression, and suddenly asked, that person just now wasn't a disciple of your Zhao clan, right? Why do you think so? The Zhao clan's clan head made an "oh" sound and asked curiously. Your daughter's attitude doesn't seem to be towards a disciple of the Zhao clan. Yang Chen's gaze turned to Zhao Ziyu, and a smile appeared on his face as he slowly replied. That's a disciple of a small branch of the Zhao clan. Since he has become a branch of my Zhao clan, he's my Zhao clan's dog. What attitude do I still need? Zhao Ziyu's temper was very bad. Seeing that Yang Chen was still smiling, she immediately said angrily, Yang Chen, don't be so shameless. The feeling of having your consciousness shaken just now wasn't good, right? How long do you think you can endure that kind of pressure? Won't you become my Zhao clan's dog sooner or later? So the Zhao clan wants me to be their dog. Yang Chen's gaze sharpened, but his face still carried a smile. However, that time just now clearly wasn't enough. Then I'll wait until all your women become dogs. Then I'll see how long you can endure. Zhao Ziyu clearly knew about the behavior of Yang Chen's family in the guest room and sneered. Zhao Ziyu's words also made Yang Chen completely certain that within the Zhao family manor, no one's every move would be able to escape the Zhao family surveillance. Fortunately, Yang Chen had expected it and never told the 7 girls anything that he didn't want the Zhao family to know. Wait here. Yang Chen didn't care at all. He said slowly, I'm used to being scared. Aren't you guys fine? Her words were calm, but Yang Chen's eyes lit up. Zhao Ziyin's actions had completely infuriated Yang Chen. We're fine because we have a secret technique to resist it. I want to see how many times your women can withstand it. Zhao Ziyin's face was almost deformed. She said in a stern voice, even if you're born with multitasking, how many times can you take? Thank you for Elder Zhao's concern. Then let's wait and see. Yang Chen didn't bother with Zhao Ziyin anymore. He turned to the Zhao clan's clan head, who was watching the show from the side. Clan head and Ling Yuan are playing the good cop and the bad cop. Ling Yuan is putting in so much effort to perform. I think the clan head is planning to sell out at the right time. Zhao clan's clan head was seen through by Yang Chen, but he wasn't angry. He still had a smile on his face as he said slowly, my daughter hasn't been by my side for a long time and has suffered a lot outside. Naturally, she's a bit arrogant. I'm ashamed. Although he said he was ashamed, there wasn't a trace of shame on his face. Well said. Yang Chen waved his hand and didn't look at Zhao Ziyin's face. He just calmly asked, I just don't know, has Elder Bei's spiritual awareness hypnosis been broken? This question suddenly poked the hornet's nest. Zhao Ziyin jumped up and shouted at Yang Chen. Yang Chen, what method did you use on Elder Bei? Zhao Ziyin couldn't help but be angry. She thought that Yang Chen used spiritual awareness hypnosis. As long as he used a master with a higher spiritual awareness, it could be easily broken. She didn't expect that even a few great elders couldn't solve it. As a last resort, she even let Black Tortoise come out, but the result was still to no avail. Bei Xuanyu was still the same frightened look. Where was the demeanor of the Green Jade, Immortal Island's teaching elder? Thinking of the big talk before, and then looking at Yang Chen's proud face now, how could Zhao Ziyin still bear it? The initiator of all this was Yang Chen. Including her own failure was also on Yang Chen. If it weren't for the Zhao family's master, Zhao Ziyin couldn't wait to tear Yang Chen's body into pieces. Such a small trick, it doesn't hurt my eyes, hee. The smile on Yang Chen's face became more and more brilliant. It couldn't be seen that he was under house arrest at all. He smiled and said, I just didn't expect that Elder Bei was so important. This statement made Zhao Ziyin even more angry. Her mission in the Green Jade Immortal Island had failed. Now, if Bei Xuanyu could cooperate, she could also let the family master more secrets of the Green Jade Immortal Island. However, she didn't know what kind of restriction was placed on Bei Xuanyu by Yang Chen, and she became like this. Zhao Ziyin, who was eager to make amends, of course, hoped that Elder Bei could recover as soon as possible, but she was blocked by Yang Chen's technique. She couldn't help but be angry. If you want to let Elder Bei return to normal, I don't know what price Grandmaster Yang wants. The Zhao family's master waved his hand to stop Zhao Ziyin's attempt to rush up and teach Yang Chen a lesson. He asked unhurriedly, Grandmaster Yang can even tell the secret of the 5th grade alchemist master. Presumably, you won't care about this small trick, right? Of course. Yang Chen leaned back and sat more and more comfortably on the armchair. He also crossed his legs and said, "If the master said so earlier, wouldn't it be simple? Things that are good for both sides. I'm most willing to do it." As he said, he turned to Zhao Xin next to him and said, "Poor T, I'm discussing with your father. As a daughter, shouldn't there be some etiquette?" Zhao Xin was furious and was about to attack. The Zhao family's master next to her stared at her slightly. Zhao Xin didn't dare to act rashly. She obediently stepped forward and poured a cup of tea for Yang Chun and put it in Yang Chen's hand. She was very respectful. The Zhao family's master was also a little regretful. Since Yang Chun had said so, combined with his previous performance, it seemed that as long as the price was enough, Yang Chun would cooperate. In this case, he had been a villain in vain. However, there was no turning back. He could only go down this road. "Family head, you have taught your family well. I admire you." Seeing this, Yang Chen also gave the Zhao family head a thumbs up. The head of the Zhao family acted as if he didn't see Yang Chen's actions. He looked at Yang Chen and asked calmly, "I wonder what price Great Master would ask for to help solve Elder Bei's problem." "No problem." Yang Chen became serious as soon as he started talking about business. He stared into the eyes of the Zhao clan's leader and said calmly, "It just so happens that I'm going to refine a new medicine and need the help of an expert with an extremely high divine sense. Can the owner of that divine sense help me refine a furnace?" Chapter 1266. New Drug. The Zhao family's family head immediately became spirited. If others said that they were refining a new drug, he didn't care at all. But who was Yang Chun? He was the only 5th-grade alchemist master in the world. If he wanted to refine a new drug, it was estimated that no one would not be interested, especially when the difficulty of refining was still so high. He could use the spiritual awareness of 2nd-grade Earth Immortal Master to refine a pill. What kind of heaven-defying medicinal pill should it be? "Can you do it or not? Give me a straightforward answer." Yang Chun did not care about the covetous expression on the face of the Zhao family's family head and asked impatiently. "Bull!" Zhao Ziyu shouted loudly from his side. She felt indignant when she saw that Yang Chun actually talked to her father like this. "Elder Zhao, I will give you a word." Yang Chun turned his body back, facing Zhao Ziyu, and said in a tone of teaching a younger generation, "First, Elder Zhao is also a Yuanying stage ancestor. Second, Elder Zhao has been in a big sect like the Green Jade Immortal Island for so many years, and you have gained a lot of experience. How can you still have such a child's character?" Zhao Ziyu's face suddenly became ugly again. Yang Chen's words were merciless accusations. He was pointing at her nose and scolding her for having a bad temperament. This was the territory of the Zhao family. How dare Yang Chen? Zhao Ziyu's eyes were almost vertical. It could be imagined what kind of eruption would happen next. "It's not that I want to criticize you, but even in terms of age, Elder Zhao, you are also 600 or 700 years old. Among the mortals, you are no longer at the age of being obedient. Just hearing a few unpleasant words or even a tone that you don't like, that's something that only an 8-year-old child can do." Yang Chun did not give Zhao Ziyu a chance to speak and directly gave a long series of lectures. "You have not made any progress in your cultivation for so many years, and you have not reached the edge of the tribulation. It may not be the only reason. To put it bluntly, have you been living like a dog at this age?" In front of the Zhao family's family head, Yang Chun directly reprimanded Zhao Ziyu. Previously, Zhao Ziyin had said that she wanted Yang Chen's family to be dogs. Now, Yang Chun had turned the tables and scolded her for living her life as a dog. "I'll kill you." Zhao Ziyin could no longer endure it. Her eyes turned red, and a flying sword appeared, ready to slash at Yang Chun. "Attack? Are you as good as Bei Shuangyu?" However, Yang Chun did not care at all. He only snorted coldly and did not even look at Zhao Ziyu. He turned around and faced the Zhao family's family head. He said impatiently, "Can you do it or not? Give me a straightforward answer. Don't keep watching from the side. Is there any meaning in teaching your own daughter like this?" "Ziao, stop." The Zhao family's patriarch's expression did not change, but he shouted in a deep voice. Zhao Ziyin's flying sword, which had already flown out, abruptly stopped in the air. It could not stop trembling, showing how angry the owner of the flying sword was now. However, Zhao Xin finally followed her father's instructions and took back the flying sword. Grandmaster Yang's teachings, which sentence didn't hit the nail on the head? The Zhao family's patriarch began to face Zhao Xin at this moment and began to coldly lecture her. You have suffered outside for hundreds of years. As a father, I feel guilty in my heart. It's not good to lecture you face to face, but this is not your capital to make a scene. If you really want to make a move, are you Grandmaster Yang's opponent? Still not thanking Grandmaster Yang for showing mercy? At this time, Zhao Xin did not have the attitude of the Zhao family's princess. She lowered her head and listened to her father's lecture without saying a word. She did not dare to refute. It was not until the Zhao family's patriarch said the last sentence that Zhao Xin began to really think about Yang Chen's words. Now Zhao Xin remembered that Bei Xuanyu was already the elder of the Deshang stage. It was said that she was captured by Yang Chen at that time. If it weren't for the face of the green jade Immortal Island, her head would have already been separated from her body. Her own cultivation base was not as strong as Bei Xuanyu. Even Shi Shanshan could hit her hard in one move, let alone Yang Chen. After thinking about this, Zhao Xin suddenly broke into a cold sweat. Looking at Yang Chen's figure, she did not dare to say anything more. Helping Grandmaster Yang to refine pills is naturally no problem. After the Zhao family's patriarch finished lecturing his daughter, he turned to Yang Chen, and his face also had a smile. But this old man wants to know, what kind of medicinal pill is Grandmaster Yang planning to refine this time? It's not a special medicinal pill. Since you have such a master here, then try to see if you can refine a medicinal pill that can enhance the cultivation base of your spiritual awareness. Yang Chen did not hide it and said directly, I can't do it alone, but if you have a master to help, maybe it is possible. Enhance the spiritual awareness? The Zhao family's patriarch's eyes suddenly lit up. In this world, some medicinal pills were almost impossible to exist, but there were always exceptions. For example, the general medicinal pill could not enhance the spiritual power cultivation base, but the devilish bead could. In the same way, there was no medicinal pill that could directly enhance the spiritual awareness cultivation base in the mortal world, but now wasn't Yang Chen going to try it right away? I don't know if this medicinal pill grandmaster is willing to sell it. The Zhao family's patriarch immediately asked, Why do you want it? Yang Chen's face showed a smile that was not a smile, and suddenly asked, I am not sure myself. Do you dare to take the medicinal pill that I refine? Are you not afraid of losing your life after taking a medicinal pill? The smile on the face of the Zhao family's patriarch instantly converged, and then he smiled again. What is Grandmaster Yang talking about? As long as the Grandmaster takes action, I have not heard of any failure. Here, I wish the Grandmaster success. As he spoke, he didn't bring up the matter of the elixir anymore. As long as Yang Chen was still in the Zhao family manor, the Zhao family's patriarch was not afraid of any accidents. A grade 2 Earth Immortal Black Tortoise was enough to deal with any accidents. It was a pity that the Black Tortoise was restricted by the array and could not make a move at will. Otherwise, it would have dominated the world long ago. The first sect of Dao sects, when would it be the turn of Taishimen? The ancestors could not be blamed for restraining the Black Tortoise like this. If it were not for this control, the Black Tortoise would definitely destroy the Zhao family first. Now it was just right. Anyway, any attack against the Zhao family was indirectly against the Black Tortoise, which was the foundation of the Zhao family's immortality. Grandmaster Yang, when are you going to refine the medicinal pill? Just tell me. I will ask the master to help according to the Grandmaster's request. This time, the Zhao family's patriarch gave a very clear answer and said nothing else. No matter how many medicinal pills Yang Chen refined, in the end, the Zhao family would benefit from it. It was just a matter of time. The Zhao family's patriarch had never seen or even heard of someone who could persist to the end after entering the Zhao family's demon sealing array, and Yang Chen would definitely not be an exception. On this point, the Zhao family's patriarch had absolute confidence. Well, in that case, let's start tomorrow. Yang Chen set the time, but his heart was already blooming with joy, and he almost laughed out loud. Chapter 1267. What Master's help in refining was purely an excuse. What Yangshan wanted was to have further contact with the Black Tortoise's spiritual awareness. The demon seal formation was indeed powerful. Not only did it block the passage for Yangchun and others to enter and exit, but it also blocked the tribulation. Even the spiritual power and spiritual awareness of the Black Tortoise were sealed in it. Without the permission of the Zhao family, there was no way to explore it. The Black Tortoise had a faint bloodline of the Swanee, which was not something in Yang Chen's previous life memory. This was what Xiao Tian told Yang Chen. As a descendant of the Dragon Clan, Xiao Tian, who had completely stimulated the bloodline of the Yazi, had a keen sense of the dragon's aura. Almost at the moment when he saw the Black Tortoise, he could be sure of this. Of course, Yang Chen had heard of the Swanee, but he did not expect that there would be such a powerful one in the mortal world. Since Xiao Tian could be sure, then Yang Chen could have an idea on this Black Tortoise. The blood essence of the Xiao Tian Quan was now gone, but the blood essence of Xiao Tian could still be taken out. He just didn't know if it had the effect of stimulating the bloodline of the Swanee. Yang Chen still needed to test this. However, Yang Chen was still confident. He didn't dare to say anything else, but the merit article that he had just obtained was not a decoration. As long as the blood essence of Xiao Tian had such a weak effect of stimulating the bloodline, Yang Chen could magnify it to the maximum. This time, Yang Chen also intended to use Xiao Tian's blood essence to try it. The merit chapter had just been obtained. How to get started with the specific operation, in addition to refining it himself, there was no other way. Even if it failed, he could just say that he was not familiar with it. Regarding the merit article, no one knew except Li Chun and Yang Chun did not intend to tell anyone else. The Zhao family master's arrangement was very thoughtful. He did not make things difficult for Yang Chen's attitude toward Zhao Ziyu. In fact, the Zhao family master had to accept Yang Chen's kindness in this matter. He couldn't reprimand his own daughter directly, so he had to borrow Yang Chen's mouth to reprimand her first before he achieved his goal. It had to be said that the Zhao family's master cared about his daughter very much. After this lesson, Zhao Ziyu also understood her own problem. Just as Yang Chen had said, her temperament was really too poor, and she couldn't even show simple emotions on her face. She was no different from a child. Yang Chen was only at the early stage of the nascent soul realm, but even at this point, he still had a smile on his face and did not show any anger. In comparison, she was simply a shrew in the marketplace. Yang Chen's performance, coupled with the performance of Shi Shanshan and Sun Qingxue that Zhao Xing knew, made the Zhao family's master very interested in how Yang Chen quickly eliminated the impact of his experience in the Demon Continent. Almost everyone in the Zhao family would go to the Demon Continent to cultivate when the time was right. Those who came back alive almost all had to retreat for a long time to eliminate the impact. Even so, there were always times when they were out of control. How could they be as relaxed as Yang Chen and never have any problems? As far as the Zhao family's master knew, Yang Chen, Shi Shanshan, and Sun Qingxue were not in retreat, but he didn't know how to do it. He wanted to inquire about it, but this time was not the right time to put it forward. Anyway, everyone was a cultivator, and it didn't matter if it was 100 or 80 years. As long as Yang Chen was still in the Zhao family manor, he would always know this method. The next day, Yang Chen had just prepared a batch of medicinal materials and a drop of Xiao Tian's blood essence, and Black Tortoise's spiritual awareness had appeared again. But this time, instead of targeting Yang Chen's woman, it obediently followed Yang Chen's instructions and used its spiritual awareness to wrap Xiao Tian's drop of blood essence in the air, constantly vibrating. Yang Chen's spiritual awareness had naturally established a connection with Black Tortoise again. Through the beast-controlling secret art, Yang Chen could clearly express his meaning without opening his mouth at all. Others would never think that Yang Chen was communicating with Black Tortoise that they thought was well-controlled. "I'm Yang Chen, greet the senior." Yang Chen's thoughts were directly transmitted to Black Tortoise's mind, and he greeted it calmly. This time there was plenty of time. Yang Chen didn't have to worry about the communication being interrupted. There was no need to provoke Black Tortoise's anger to attract its attention like the first time. Black Tortoise's cultivation was the second grade of Earth Immortal, and it was unknown how many years it had existed. No matter from which aspect, it deserved the title of Yangchen Senior. After Yangchen greeted it like this, Black Tortoise did not respond for a long time. Only the blood essence of Shao Tian wrapped in its spiritual awareness was constantly vibrating, as if it was just doing things according to Yangchen's instructions. Just when Yangchen was wondering, Black Tortoise's voice finally sounded in his mind. "Boy, where did you get the Yazzie bloodline?" It seemed that it didn't know that he had the Yazzie bloodline. Yangchen was not surprised at this point. When Yangchen found Shao Tian was just an ordinary native dog. It didn't even have a mind. How could it know that he had the Yazzie bloodline? This Black Tortoise was probably in the same situation. It didn't know how noble its origin was. Of course, this also had something to do with the fact that the Yazzie bloodline had been diluted to the extreme after many years and generations. What Yangchen wanted to do was to stimulate the Yazzie bloodline in his body and become a dragon son like Shao Tian. Yangchen was patient and began to explain to Black Tortoise that he had a very thin Yazzie bloodline, and he was refining the elixir to help Black Tortoise stimulate the Yazzie bloodline. At the Earth Immortal level, even if Black Tortoise was ignorant, Black Tortoise also knew what the Yazzie bloodline was after so many people in the Zhao family had practiced and communicated with each other for so many years. How could it not care? Hearing that he still had the opportunity to stimulate the Yazzie bloodline and become a dragon son, how could Black Tortoise not be excited? As soon as he was excited, Black Tortoise's spiritual awareness began to fluctuate violently. Yangchen directly detonated the alchemy furnace in his hand without thinking about it. Originally, he intended to test the use of the merit article. What he took out was just an ordinary alchemy furnace, not the profound spirit furnace. It would not be a pity if it exploded, but he could explain to the Zhao family the reason for the fluctuation of Black Tortoise's spiritual awareness. It was not surprising that there was an accident in alchemy, and the explosion of the furnace happened frequently. No one in the Zhao family was surprised. Yangchen soon changed another alchemy furnace and started again. Anyway, the drop of blood essence of Shao Tian had been wrapped by Black Tortoise's spiritual awareness and was not damaged. He just lost some ordinary medicinal materials. Yangchen could still afford to consume them. Soon Yangchen and Black Tortoise established communication again. This time, Black Tortoise also suppressed its temper and was no longer excited. With his cultivation of the second grade of Earth Immortal, it was really easy to do. How did the predecessor fall to this point? Is there really no way to escape? Yangchen no longer talked about the Yazzie bloodline with Black Tortoise, but began to ask about Black Tortoise's current situation. It's a long story. There was enough time. Black Tortoise had not communicated with others for a long time. It was in the mood of talking, plus the excitement of stimulating the Yazzie bloodline. Black Tortoise began to talk with confidence. Chapter 1268. It was a long story, but the story was very simple. Black Tortoise was chosen by an ancestor of the Zhao family as the foundation beast. He put the refined villa on his back, and then bound him with the demon sealing formation, so that he could only be controlled by the Zhao family. Black Tortoise's lifespan was extremely long, which was one of the reasons why the ancestors of the Zhao family valued him. At first, Black Tortoise's cultivation was not so high, but it was in the middle stage of the Deshang stage. But the Zhao family found a way to constantly improve Black Tortoise's cultivation. The method of improvement was incredible, and even Black Tortoise himself couldn't explain it clearly. He only knew that he was restrained in one place, under the control of the ancestors of the Zhao family, with the help of a very strange formation. After attacking a certain place with all his strength, there was a strong breath in that place. Black Tortoise was nourished by that breath. After thousands of years, Black Tortoise had the cultivation of the 6th or 7th grade of the human immortal. The place where the strong breath came from, one day, suddenly began to erupt a very strange breath. When ordinary cultivators were stained with it, they would involuntarily be triggered by the heart devil. Black Tortoise couldn't bear it, and finally left that place under the control of the Zhao family. But obviously, the ancestors of the Zhao family deliberately opened that place and later arranged a huge formation in that area, which seemed to enclose the entire continent. It had to be said that the ancestors of the Zhao family at that time were really generous. Yang Chun listened to the description of Black Tortoise, but he was more and more surprised in his heart. This situation was clearly the formation process of the demon continent. The strange breath that triggered the heart devil, wasn't it the demonic energy? Unexpectedly, the demon continent turned out to be the masterpiece of the ancestors of the Zhao family. So it was not so incomprehensible for the Zhao family to go to the demon continent to practice when they had time. The culprit turned out to be here. No wonder Li Cheng would ask Yang Chun to meet on that island. Was it to let Yang Chun completely solve the problem of the demon continent? Black Tortoise later cultivated for thousands of years and achieved the present strength of the second grade of the Earth Immortal. But because of the demon sealing formation, there was no tribulation. He could only be sealed by the formation and become the cornerstone of the Zhao family manor. How do they control you? Yang Chun was more curious about this issue. If Black Tortoise used divine awareness, as long as it moved, those masters who wanted to control Black Tortoise would become idiots. Obviously, this was not the method used. There's an extremely dense black aura seeping out from that place and surrounding my sea of consciousness. Black Tortoise replied, honestly, they have a magic circle and magic weapon that can control these breaths. If I don't follow their instructions, the black chi will make me miserable. When Black Tortoise transmitted this thought, it even had a feeling of lingering fear. This made Yang Chun feel very strange. What kind of aura could make Black Tortoise so scared? Is it this black aura? Yang Chun suddenly had an idea. He revealed a little bit of the 9 nether flying sword. The 9 nether flying dust suddenly hit Black Tortoise's divine awareness. The devil chi immediately began to affect Black Tortoise's divine awareness. That's the aura. Black Tortoise immediately noticed the aura of the 9 nether flying sword and quickly responded, but it's much richer than this. This level is not enough to affect me. Sure enough, it was the devil chi. Yang Chun was even more sure that the Zhao family was definitely related to the demon continent. However, to Yang Chun's surprise, his 9 nether flying sword had obviously absorbed the rich devil chi on the ultimate demonized Vine's corpse, but still could not make Black Tortoise uncomfortable. How strong was the devil chi that controlled Black Tortoise? Just because of the control of the devil chi? Yang Chun still felt a little incredible. Just some devil chi should not be enough to make Black Tortoise so obedient, right? There's also a formation that extracts the spiritual power from my body all the time. Black Tortoise's helpless voice came to Yang Chun's mind. It's like maggots in the tarsal bone. There's no way to get rid of it. When necessary, they can make me unconscious immediately. That feeling of helplessness was passed to Yang Chun's mind, with an emotion of despair to the extreme. The taste of begging for death, this Black Tortoise had suffered for many years. While communicating with his divine awareness, Yang Chun had blown up another alchemy furnace. This was purely for the Zhao family to see. Even the Zhao family did not feel strange at all. Instead, they sent dozens of low-grade alchemy furnaces for Yang Chun to consume. Yang Chun did not start to use the method of merit chapter to alchemy, but was considering another problem. This Black Tortoise obviously had a deep grudge against the Zhao family. He believed that once he could get rid of the control of the Zhao family, the first one he would destroy would be the Zhao family. The problem was that Yang Chun and his 7 concubines were all in the Zhao family's manor. At that time, Yang Chun did not want to be killed by Black Tortoise. Do you think that stimulating the Tao Wu bloodline can help you get rid of the control of the Zhao family? Yang Chun suddenly asked Black Tortoise, "Can I?" Black Tortoise was stunned and asked back with a thought. The Tao Wu bloodline can't guarantee it. Yang Chun shook his head directly and continued to communicate slowly. "But I have a way to let you completely restore your freedom. But why should I help you? Don't you want to leave the Zhao family?" Tao Wu asked strangely. He was now very clear about Yang Chen's situation. He was obviously under house arrest by the Zhao family. Fundamentally speaking, he should be in the same situation as Black Tortoise. Everyone should have a common enemy. Why did Yang Chun say so now? It's not difficult for me to leave the Zhao family. Yang Chun had basically understood Black Tortoise's thoughts from Black Tortoise's description all the way. This guy did not have many cunning thoughts. After being tortured for so many years, he had already accepted his fate. Now, suddenly there was a way to be free. He could not wait. Big talk. Black Tortoise's thought came, and his tone was full of disdain. Even Black Tortoise, a grade 2 Earth Immortal, could not break the control of the Zhao family. Yang Chun, a little yuanying stage that he could destroy with a breath, dared to say such big talk? He could not help but sneer. If you can really leave, why do you bother to say so much to me? What do I have to do to make you believe me? Yang Chun did not care about Black Tortoise's tone. He had been controlled for tens of thousands of years, or even longer, and had never been free. This attitude was normal. Unless you can prove it. Black Tortoise did not really care about Yang Chun, but he did not believe Yang Chun's big talk. The way to stimulate the Tao bloodline was still in Yang Chun's hands. If he wanted to be free, he had to honestly find a way from Yang Chun. After all, for so many years, this was the first time that someone outside the Zhao family communicated with him. This was the only chance, whether it succeeded or not. He had to seize it. Chapter 1269. Black Tortoise was not afraid of what the Zhao family would do to him after he failed. At most, he would suffer a little. He was the cornerstone of the Zhao family now, and the Zhao family could not completely destroy him. How to prove it? Yang Chun asked. How do I know? You said you have a way. Black Tortoise directly passed a very rogue's words. But this was also a fact. If he knew how to prove it, he would have a way to be free long ago. Does it count if I hurt you? Yang Chun hesitated for a while and suddenly asked Black Tortoise. Yes. Black Tortoise suddenly became excited. Black Tortoise was now sealed by the Demon Seal Formation, but at the same time, it was also protected by the Demon Seal Formation. As long as his spiritual power was not exhausted, nothing could hurt him through the Demon Seal Formation. For so many years, Black Tortoise had never been hurt. When Yang Chun suddenly said this, Black Tortoise was certainly excited. If Yang Chun could really hurt him, it meant that Yang Chun could deal with the Demon Seal Formation. If he could deal with the Demon Seal Formation, he could be free. It was a very simple logic. Black Tortoise's meaning had just been passed on. After Yang Chun received it, without saying anything, the Immortal Beheading Blade appeared directly in his hand. The Immortal Beheading Blade was held in Xiao Tian's mouth. The tip of the blade was down. Yang Chun used one arm to insert the Immortal Beheading Blade into the ground beside him. On the ground, there was only the handle of the blade. The blade of the Immortal Beheading Blade under the ground suddenly began to grow longer, and then it stabbed down like a hot knife through butter. Under the blessing of Xiao Tian, the Immortal Beheading Blade was already invincible. It penetrated the ground hundreds of feet deep in an instant, and the tip of the blade also touched the edge of the Demon Seal Formation below. On Xiao Tian's body, a faint golden on suddenly flashed. It was still a slight sound that almost no one noticed. The tip of the Immortal Beheading Blade easily pierced into the Demon Seal Formation. The Demon Seal Formation, which was known to be able to withstand the strongest attack in the mortal world, was pierced by the Immortal Beheading Blade in Xiao Tian's mouth. The blade of the Immortal Beheading Blade was still lengthening. After the tip of the blade pierced the Demon Seal Formation, the remaining power did not disappear. It suddenly became several miles long and pierced into the back of Black Tortoise. All the way, it went straight into the flesh of Black Tortoise. Roar! The sudden severe pain directly made Black Tortoise unable to suppress it and let out a painful roar. Its whole body shook violently. The manor of Zhao's began to shake crazily, as if it had suffered a strong earthquake. Fortunately, the manor of the Zhao family was also a strong cave residence that had been refined, so there was no danger of collapse. But even so, such a huge movement of Black Tortoise caught many people off guard, and they fell heavily to the ground. Bang! Another alchemy furnace exploded directly. Yang Qin's reaction was very fast. Looking at it from the beginning to the end, there was another problem with the refining this time. Moreover, the black tortoise's spiritual awareness was shaken, which then caused its body to shake violently. The more it was like this, the more pleasantly surprised the Zhao clan's clan head was. With such a huge commotion, just how powerful was the medicinal pill refined by Yang Qin? He now wished he could rush to Yang Qin's side and ask what was going on, but Yang Qin's refining obviously failed. The Zhao clan's clan head was also a smart person. He would not rush to Yang Qin's side at this time to be Yang Qin's punching bag. He just quietly told the family's disciples not to disturb Yang Qin, and he was still watching the progress of Yang Qin's alchemy in the dark. Black Tortoise had never been hurt since it was controlled by the ancestors of the Zhao family. Its body had long forgotten what physical pain felt like. Yang Qin only used one knife, and it recalled the long-lost feeling of the physical body. At this moment, Black Tortoise almost cried with excitement. The stinging pain clearly told Black Tortoise that Yang Qin did hurt him through the demon-sealing tactical matrix. He also knew the technique used by Yang Qin. It was almost stabbed under the wrapping of his spiritual awareness. It was impossible to cheat. Even Black Tortoise's spiritual awareness could now establish a connection with Yang Qin through the immortal beheading knife in his body, instead of using the beast-controlling spell. The demon-sealing tactical matrix, which could shield heaven's retribution and resist the strongest attack in the mortal world, and even the masters of the human immortal level could not penetrate it, was pierced through by Yang Qin with one knife. What did this mean? If Yang Qin wanted to leave the Zhao family, it was really just a piece of cake. The powerful demon-sealing tactical matrix had no effect on Yang Qin at all. This knife stabbed in his body, bringing pain and hope, but at the same time, it also brought a kind of fear that made Black Tortoise dread to the bone. There seemed to be a hidden breath on the knife, which made him instinctively feel fear, so that his huge body of hundreds of miles had an impulse to tremble. If he hadn't forcibly suppressed this fear from the bone with cultivation, his body would have trembled uncontrollably. If Yang Qin wanted to kill him, it would be easy. After coming to this conclusion, Black Tortoise couldn't believe his own judgment, but the instinct of his body and the experience of living for hundreds of thousands of years told him that this was true and not a dream. For a guy who could easily kill him and set him free at the same time, Black Tortoise no longer despised him like before and dared not to use him again. As for killing everyone in the Zhao family's manor, including Yang Qin, after he was free, he didn't even dare to think about it. With a slight sound, the immortal beheading knife was gently retracted as if it had just been stabbed. Soon it returned to its original size, and then it was taken into Yang Qin's sea of consciousness. What do you want? When everything was quiet for a long time, Black Tortoise's spiritual awareness sent another thought. But this time, Black Tortoise's attitude was much more humble, no longer the feeling of a condescending elder facing a younger generation. You can do whatever you want with the Zhao family, but leave the Zhao family's manor to me. Yang Qin began to ask without hesitation. It's a good cave residence. It's good to keep it to make my concubine happy. After that, he suddenly thought of something and added, leave the lives of the two women to me. Yang Qin referred to Zhao Ziyu and Bei Shuangyu. These two women were still useful to Yang Qin. He couldn't let Black Tortoise kill them here. No problem. When Black Tortoise heard that he was not asking him to let go of the Zhao family, he suddenly felt relieved. It was just a cave residence. So what if he kept it? The Zhao family had controlled him for so many years and made him beg for death. As long as he got out of trouble, he would let the whole Zhao family pay the price. As for the two women that Yang Qin wanted, he would leave them to him. You have been at the bottom of the sea for so many years. You must have collected a lot of good things. Yang Qin then put forward a second request. I want these things. As soon as he made this request, Black Tortoise suddenly hesitated and seemed to be reluctant. After stimulating your Swanee bloodline, you will condense your merit monument. Yang Qin was not afraid that Black Tortoise would disagree. Those things are useless to you. As long as you are willing to carry merits for me, I will give you as many merits as you can carry. How about that? Chapter 1270. For Black Tortoise, freedom was his biggest wish now. Everything else, including the stimulation of Tao Wu's bloodline, was secondary. The accumulated resentment for tens of thousands of years or even longer surpassed anything else. Yangchen's strike made Black Tortoise completely see the hope of freedom. At the thought that he would no longer be driven around by the Zhao family like a slave, Black Tortoise could not help but have an impulse to kill all the Zhao family members immediately. After all, he was already a second-grade Earth immortal evil beast. When he forcibly suppressed this impulse and began to consider Yangchen's conditions, he immediately realized what it meant to stimulate Tao Wu's bloodline. Even if no one had really seen Tao Wu, they had heard of the legend, and there were many records about it. One of the 9 sons of the dragon, the existence of transcendence. Black Tortoise could not help but be excited when he actually had the opportunity to become Tao Wu. The merit tablet of Tao Wu was definitely Tao Wu's natural natal magic weapon. Nothing was more suitable for Tao Wu's cultivation than this magic weapon brought from its bloodline. The greatest use of the merit monument was to increase one's merit. Legend has it that the merit steel carried on the back of Bine recorded his own merit. However, this was obviously not comprehensive. In fact, Tao Wu could carry anyone's merits. This could be proved by the countless Tao Wu stone tablets all over the world. The inscriptions on those tablets recorded the merits of some human emperors or other outstanding gurus. How the merit tablet reflected the level and strength was nothing more than the amount of merits added to it. In this regard, Tao Wu had a natural advantage that people envied. He did not even need to cultivate. As long as he could constantly add merits to his merit tablet, it would naturally grow. In Yangchen's words just now, he said that how much merit the Black Tortoise could carry, how much merit he could add to it. For Black Tortoise, this was like a huge pie falling from the sky, which could directly make him dizzy, compared with merits. The property he had secretly accumulated by staying at the bottom of the sea for tens of thousands of years was really useless, as Yangchen said. Is that true? Black Tortoise used a lot of willpower to make the thoughts it passed to Yangchen's mind not so agitated. I can make a hard oath. Yangchen did not hesitate to pass on his own meaning. Black Tortoise originally wanted to confirm whether Yangchen had so many merits, but Yangchen swore by the heart demon, so Black Tortoise no longer doubted him. He said resolutely, "Deal? It's a deal." Yangchen also happily made this agreement with Black Tortoise. Yangchen couldn't help but be happy. The merit on the Swan and I merit monument was not the same as the merit recorded on the merit ring. As long as it was on the merit monument, then those merits would never disappear. Even if the heavenly court were to change dynasties right now, it would not disappear. Yangchen's immeasurable merit and virtue, he was worried about how to keep it. Immediately, there was this Swanee that came to his door. How could Yangchen not be ecstatic? Even if it was just for this purpose, Yangchen would try his best to stimulate the merit steel's bloodline in Black Tortoise. The next thing was naturally that Yangchen began to crazily practice the merit in the process of alchemy recorded in the merit steel. The merit steel was not particularly detailed. It was just a general outline. The specific details needed Yangchen to explore carefully. For anyone else in the mortal world, this merit steel was of little value, and no one could practice it. Even if one had a genius's aptitude, it was impossible to master it without a lot of merits to practice. It was just like alchemy and refining weapons. If one didn't practice it and just read books, one could not learn it in any case. This was one of the reasons. Another difficulty was that even if one saved people from water and fire in the mortal world, and saved people from hanging upside down and accumulated countless merits before entering the heavenly court, how could the cultivators in the mortal world know how much merits they had? And how could they use them? However, Yangchen not only had merits, but also had the merit ring in his hand, which could be used at any time. In particular, Yangchen was not afraid of consumption. The power of the merit steel. If one did not add enough merits, how could the effect be seen? On this point, no one could compare with Yangchen. He could throw out hundreds of trillions of merits without blinking his eyes. No one could be more generous than him. At first, it was definitely not to refine the elixir to stimulate the Tao's bloodline, but the spirit congealing pill. The spirit congealing pill itself did not have the effect of improving the spiritual awareness of the user, but Yang Chen hoped that after the blessing of merits, the spirit congealing pill could improve a little. Of course, this kind of spirit congealing pill was purely for practice, in order to let Yang Chen master the alchemy method of the merit steel. It had to be said that what Li Cheng took out was really powerful. After Yang Chen began to refine the elixir seriously, it took him more than half a year. During this period, almost 15 alchemy furnaces exploded, and he finally succeeded in refining a merit congealing pill. These exploding alchemy furnaces were not deliberately done by Yang Chen. It was completely an accident in the process of alchemy. In the process of alchemy, the Zhao family almost monitored the whole process, especially those disciples of the Zhao family who were good at alchemy. They stared at Yang Chen's every move without blinking in a place where they could see the situation of Yang Chen's alchemy, trying to learn something from it. Black Tortoise was also frequently asked what Yang Chen wanted him to do. On this point, Yang Chen and Black Tortoise had a tacit understanding. Black Tortoise's answer to the Zhao family was that Yang Chen only asked him to wrap some medicinal materials and alchemy furnaces with his spiritual awareness. All the operations were still carried out by Yang Chen. Yang Chen's failures were seen by the Zhao family, but more importantly, Yang Chen was never discouraged. Every time he failed, Yang Chen would always collect the dregs of the furnace explosion, carefully observe and summarize, and then continue the next attempt. Seeing Yang Chen's behavior, many alchemy disciples of the Zhao family were thoughtful. In this world, whether it was cultivation or alchemy, there was never a shortcut. Everyone understood this truth in their hearts, but they always forgot it in the actual operation. Now from Yang Chen, everyone saw Yang Chen's persistence. Perhaps this spirit of reluctance was one of the factors that allowed Yang Chen to become a fifth-grade alchemist. In any case, after more than a dozen failures, Yang Chen finally succeeded in refining an elixir. When Yang Chen finished the elixir, he took it in his hand and observed it for a few times. The Zhao family's master appeared in front of Yang Chen. "Master Yang, can you sell this elixir to the Zhao family?" When he met the Zhao family's master, he asked for alchemy. Chapter 1271. This medicinal pill is not for sale. Yang Chen just raised his eyelids and glanced at the Zhao family patriarch. Then he lowered his eyelids and refused directly. The face of the Zhao family patriarch did not change. He still had that kind of warm smile, but his eyes flashed and then disappeared without a trace. "This is just a test. The medicinal materials used are also garbage. The effect is not great. It has almost no effect on the Jidan stage. Maybe it is only effective for the foundation establishment stage." The Zhao family patriarch was about to say something, but Yang Chen had already said, "If you're not afraid that your children will die after eating it, call one to come and try the medicine." As soon as he heard Yang Chen's words, the smile on the Zhao family patriarch's face became more and more brilliant. Without saying anything, he waved his hand in a certain direction. After a while, 10 young people who looked very young came to Yang Chen and the Zhao family patriarch. The 10 people were all in the foundation establishment stage, basically ranging from the early stage to the peak of the foundation establishment stage. The 10 people didn't know what was going on. They lined up and stood in front of Yang Chen and the patriarch, quietly waiting for instructions. "Master, which one is suitable?" The Zhao family patriarch was completely courteous at the moment. Yang Chen stood in the middle. He accompanied Yang Chen on the left side, slightly behind Yang Chen, and asked expectantly, "You." Yang Chen was not polite. His spiritual awareness turned on the 10 people and directly found the weakest one, the early stage of the foundation establishment stage. The young man who was pointed out by Yang Chen stepped forward very cooperatively. The patriarch waved to the others next to him, and the other 9 people quietly lined up and left from the place where they came in, leaving only the young man selected by Yang Chen. A medicinal pill was sent to the young man's hand. Before he took it, Yang Chun specifically told him, after taking the medicine, immediately absorb the medicinal power. Pay special attention to the changes in spiritual awareness. The young man nodded and glanced at the patriarch of his family. The Zhao family patriarch nodded slightly on the side of Yang Chun. The young man immediately picked up the medicinal pill and swallowed it. Then he sat directly on the ground and began a practice. Yang Chun and the Zhao family patriarch didn't find the waiting process boring. They just stood in front of the young man and quietly waited for the medicinal pill to take effect. After almost half a day, the young man completely absorbed the medicinal power and opened his eyes. When he opened his eyes, he saw two pairs of expectant eyes. As soon as he opened his eyes, he saw two pairs of expectant eyes. Yang Chun asked anxiously. His eagerness was like an alchemist who wanted to know the efficacy of his own medicinal pill immediately. In fact, Yang Chun was indeed in this kind of mood. After all, this was the first time for people to take the merit pill. This younger generation junior's spiritual awareness has greatly increased. The younger generation who took the medicine was full of surprise and bowed to Yang Chun. "Thank you, Grandmaster." "It works?" In Yang Chun's tone, he couldn't suppress the joy, and his face was also that kind of surprised smile. He didn't seem to be sure that what he heard was true, and he confirmed it again. The Zhao family patriarch next to him also had a bright smile. Yang Chun's medicinal pill was effective. He really deserved to be a fifth-grade alchemist. After so many failures, he finally succeeded in refining this kind of medicinal pill that can increase spiritual awareness. "It works, Master," the young man replied quickly, and his face was also full of surprise. When he first came in, he was told that it was a medicine test. He was very nervous, but he didn't expect such a big benefit. "Tell me specifically, how much has it increased?" Yang Chun has already begun to ask in detail, confirming what the effect of the medicinal effect is, the specific feeling after taking it, etc. It is completely to further determine the specific medicinal effect of the new medicine. The Zhao family patriarch has begun to think about how to take Yang Chun under the Zhao family as soon as possible. Such a talented alchemist has already entered the Zhao family manor. If they let Yang Chun go, it would be a loss. Even if they can't get it, they can't leave it to the guys outside. However, Yang Chun seems to be somewhat unmoved by force or persuasion. Now the only one who can control Yang Chun seems to be Black Tortoise, who cooperates with Yang Chun to refine medicinal pills. Without the help of Black Tortoise, it is impossible for Yang Chun to refine this kind of unnamed medicinal pill. It seems that he can only find a way from Black Tortoise. This is to cater to Yang Chun's favor. The Zhao family patriarch firmly believes that as long as he is sincere, he can definitely make Yang Chun move. As for Yang Chun's 4 wives in their respective sect, it is easy. At that time, as long as Yang Chun is willing, he can let the disciples of the Zhao family take Yang Chun's handwritten letter and bring them to the manor to reunite with Yang Chun's family. It was just that Yang Chun himself, but he absolutely could not let him leave. The Zhao family patriarch understands that Yang Chun is an alchemist who is obsessed with alchemy. Once he succeeds in refining this unprecedented medicinal pill, he will definitely want to refine it again. In this way, he can't do without the help of Black Tortoise. Without the help of Black Tortoise's powerful spiritual awareness, Yang Chun can't refine successfully. Next, the Zhao family patriarch began to show his value to Yang Chun. Not only did he bear all the medicinal materials needed by Yang Chun to refine medicinal pills, but he also generously allowed Yang Chun to use Black Tortoise's spiritual awareness to help Yang Chun refine medicinal pills at will. Of course, the Zhao family hoped to buy the medicinal pills refined by Yang Chun at a high price. This is a matter of hitting it off. Yang Chun needs Black Tortoise's spiritual awareness to help improve a higher level of medicinal pills comprehensively, and the Zhao family needs Yang Chun's medicinal pills. The two sides immediately reached a cooperative relationship. The Zhao family patriarch is not afraid of any accident after Yang Chun refined a perfect refreshment pill. Even if Yang Chun and his 7 concubines can improve their spiritual awareness cultivation, so what? Can they be stronger than Black Tortoise? Black Tortoise is still controlled by the Zhao family, let alone Yang Chun's family. Therefore, Yang Chun can refine medicinal pills with black tortoise and communicate with it at will without fear of others knowing. The previous medicinal pill, Yang Chun, added almost 10 million merit points, which improved the spiritual awareness of a guy in the early stage of foundation establishment to the peak stage of foundation establishment, which made Yang Chun have a more intuitive understanding of the merit points. As long as it can be proved to be effective, the effect of the medicinal pill only depends on the amount of merit points. After this period of practice, Yang Chun has basically mastered the method of adding merit points during alchemy. Next, he naturally began to refine medicinal pills to stimulate the Taowu bloodline. The main medicinal material was naturally the drop of Shao Tian's blood essence. In the blood essence of Shao Tian, there must be some effect of the blood essence of Shao Tian Quan. What Yang Chun wanted to do was to completely magnify this part of the effect to achieve the purpose of stimulating the black tortoise's Taowu bloodline. This time, Yang Chun spent a lot of money. Not only did he let Shao Tian contribute a drop of blood essence, but he also directly paid 1 trillion merit points, which was the greatest merit points he could currently add at one time. Just waiting for the medicinal pill to be completed, it depends on the effect of black tortoise's use. Chapter 1272. This time, the time of alchemy was much longer than that of the last success. Everyone could understand that the previous one was just an experiment, and this time it was the real deal. The medicinal pills of the experiment were simple. Ordinary medicinal materials with a little bit of age would not exceed 100 years. It was already the top for it to have an effect on the cultivators of the foundation stage. Now Yang Chun wanted to further refine it. To target the masters of the Yuanying stage and the Deshang stage, it was only normal to use medicinal materials that were thousands of years old. As for the time and difficulty of refining, it was 10 times and 100 times more. Even for simple medicinal pills, Yang Chun had blown up more than a dozen pill furnaces. Now, even if he lost a few, it was also very normal. This time, Yang Chun's action directly lasted for a whole year. During this period, he also blew up 2 pill furnaces. Of course, this was a superficial phenomenon. In a merit ring that others could not see, the profound spirit furnace had been under the control of Yang Chun, refining the medicinal pills that the black tortoise needed. The refining process of the medicinal pills had been very smooth, and Shao Tian's blood essence was completely integrated into it. Yang Chun was not stingy in adding 1 trillion merit points. Another unprecedented medicinal pill in the mortal world was born. This kind of medicinal pill, named by Yang Chun as the bloodline pill, was the 2nd grade. This was still Yang Chun was afraid that if the difficulty was increased, the refining would fail, so he used the lowest refining. However, even if the pill was successful, now the black tortoise faced another trouble. That was how to take this medicinal pill. It must be known that the demon seal formation could isolate the black tortoise and the Zhao family manner. It was not so easy to send the medicinal pills out, and the black tortoise did not even need to think about coming in. It seems that you can only take another knife. After thinking about it, Yang Chun had no other way but to use the immortal beheading blade to cut through the barrier of the formation. However, even if Yang Chun tried to restrain the power, it was not so easy to be cut by the immortal beheading blade. At the thought of the desperate fear brought by Yang Chun's knife stabbing into his body, the black tortoise couldn't help but shudder again. Even Yang Chun had to explode the alchemy furnace that he showed to the Zhao family again to cover up black tortoise's abnormal behavior. The Zhao family, who had been monitoring Yang Chun's alchemy, almost wanted to cry. It must be known that the medicinal herbs used by Yang Chun were all treasures of thousands of years. Destroying a furnace was equivalent to destroying the wealth of several Yuanying stage masters. Yang Chun was a tycoon and didn't care about the loss of these herbs. However, didn't the Zhao family's patriarch say that the Zhao family would pay for the herbs that Yang Chun refined? These lost herbs were the Zhao family's painstaking effort. The 7 girls quickly cleaned up the fragments of the pill furnace and medicinal dregs around Yang Chun. They had been by Yang Chun's side all this time, serving Yang Chun and cultivating on their own. Although they didn't know how Yang Chun left the Zhao family manor, they never disobeyed Yang Chun's words. especially in this case. Being by Yang Chen's side was the safest place. Perhaps the seven girls never thought that one day they, the seven masters of the Deshang stage, will be protected by Yuanying's stage cultivator. Come on. After a long time of hard work, the black tortoise finally chose the former between eating Yang Chen's knife to regain freedom and being enslaved by the Zhao family. It was very difficult to summon up the courage, and then said to Yang Chen, "Hey." Yang Chen's hand was too fast. Even without giving the black tortoise more time to prepare, the immortal beheading blade in Xiao Tian's mouth had once again inserted the handle into the ground. The blade quickly changed into a cylinder, wrapped in the second-grade blood meridian pill and dozens of fifth-grade Lingji mushroom jade pills, and quickly extended downward. It easily penetrated the barrier of the demon seal formation and went straight into the body of the black tortoise. This time was different from the last time. It was just a simple injury to the black tortoise. Yang Chen needed to send the medicinal pills into the stomach of the black tortoise. The damage was almost 10 times greater than the last time. This was also the reason why the black tortoise had been hesitating for a long time before it made up its mind. Fortunately, the change of the immortal beheading blade was very light. With the cooperation of the black tortoise, in just a few short breaths, it had pierced the stomach bag of the black tortoise from the outside, sent the wrapped medicinal pills into the stomach of the black tortoise, and then quickly withdrew. Dozens of fifth-grade Lingji mushroom jade pills were used to heal the black tortoise. Although it only had a significant effect on the Deshang stage, it was just a careful stab, and it also had a certain effect on the black tortoise of the second-grade Earth Immortal stage. Unfortunately, the murderous intent of the immortal beheading blade brought mental damage to the black tortoise, which was not something that Yang Chen could avoid. Last time, Yang Chen simply pierced the back shell of the black tortoise, but this time it went directly into the stomach. The moment the black tortoise was pierced by the immortal beheading blade, it almost fainted directly. Fortunately, it had a strong strength, and finally resisted the killing intent of the immortal beheading blade that was converged to the extreme and did not reveal any flaws. Otherwise, Yang Chen could only detonate another pill furnace. The fifth-grade Lingji mushroom jade pill quickly worked, plus the recovery power of the black tortoise itself. The physical injuries began to recover visibly. Compared with the body of the black tortoise, which was hundreds of miles in size, the wound caused by the immortal beheading blade that Yang Chen deliberately shrunk was only as thick as an arm. It almost took a few breaths for it to recover. The next thing to play a role was the bloodline pill, which added 1 trillion merits to Yang Chen and completely stimulated the effect of Xiao Tian's bloodline. The black tortoise only felt that the heat of the 5 elements began to spread directly from the stomach to the limbs and bones, which made it have a comfortable impulse to roar out. It would take some time for the bloodline pill to take effect completely. When Xiao Tian swallowed the blood essence of the celestial dog, it took a few years for it to slowly show the true colors of Yazi little by little. Even if the cultivation of the black tortoise was many times higher than that of Xiao Tian, some time could not be saved. The people of the Zhao family who were monitoring Yang Chen were finally happy to find that Yang Chen's refining technique was becoming more and more skillful, and finally they could not see the explosion of the furnace anymore. This could only mean one thing. That was, Yang Chen had begun to master the trick of refining, and the success of refining was only a matter of time. The black tortoise was restrained by Yang Chen for refining, so the control and mastery of the black tortoise by the Zhao family had also declined. Otherwise, they would have found that when the black tortoise wandered around the bottom of the sea seemingly aimlessly, it was slowly moving towards the position where Yang Chen and his family entered the Zhao family's manor. At the same time, they did not find that the body of the black tortoise was changing a little bit magically. The huge head of the black tortoise had become another shape. It looked like it was carrying a Taowu. Its body had also changed a lot, but because its body was too huge, no one could see it. Even the Zhao family would not use their divine awareness to explore the body of the black tortoise at will.